We be live, I think. Shalom, shalom. Hi, are we live, guys in the chat? Yes, we.
Yes.
Yes. Hey, Susie's feeling so much better. I can see that. Thank you for recovering. Last time was hard. We were all feeling your pain in the chat, but you're feeling good now, right?
I am.
Yes. Hi,
Yeah, I'm a
guys.
lot better.
Please make sure you like the stream. We are what, Susie? What are we talking about today?
Oh my god, we're talking about a lot of stuff in the UK, honestly. Then we're
Mm,
going to be talking about some drama in Afghanistan. And then we're also going to talk about a very noteworthy deportation in Sweden, actually.
mm. What the hell is happening to Europe? Like, I mean, we know what's
We've been
happening, but
asking that for a
this
while now. And I think
we've
we
been
know what
asking
the
that for
answer is.
years. But oh my god, it's freaking insane. I mean, we know this would happen. We knew this is gonna happen. People, people didn't.
Yeah.
But this is crazy. Like, I don't even know. Like, it's not even people. It's becoming so normal. The attacks are becoming so regular that people don't it doesn't even make it to the headline news as much as I think that people are just expecting it. It's becoming the new normal, like
Oh, I've said
another.
this for a long time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I don't think people of older
Yeah,
generations appreciate that for someone my age, that is the norm. Like that's the world that I grew up in, you know? Like
yes,
I don't remember what America was like before 9/11. I don't know what the world was like before 9/11.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I actually had to do some mental work to actually realize that this is not normal. That this is not acceptable. This is not tolerable and this is not okay. Because the entirety of my life has been defined by just the knowledge that there is this threat. And I thought that's just how life is. You know what I mean?
right,
Because that's what life has
yeah.
been for people who are my age. I don't know how much older people understand that.
So, well, elder person right here,
Old
um
man.
I let me tell you, we grew up understanding Western countries to be this area of safety and security and freedom. You know what I mean? Like, to us, this is still a shock. We're still like, we still, especially Middle Eastern older people, we look at things that is happening to Europe as, and we remember a time that we used to live in the Middle East, and we looked at these countries as a place where people felt absolute security, absolute safety. I mean, sometimes we exaggerated it, but it compared to
Mhm.
what we were dealing with, the levels of freedom of speech people enjoyed, the lack of, worry for war, for being stabbed, for being killed, relative to other countries, third world countries. So now these images, like, when we look at London, or I don't know, somewhere in Paris, and we see like huge populations of Muslims having their own rituals in mass numbers. I mean, I know a lot of younger people. This is like how I don't know. It is for a lot of younger people. Is this how just Europe is? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still, after years of seeing this, to us still this is like, what happened? What the hell? Like, this is not the Europe, the image of Europe that we remember growing up. But guys, is this like, I know most of our audience is younger here, so they're more closer to Susie than me. But is this just how you recognize? Like, do you see Europe as a like, are you shocked as well? Like, when you see this happening to Europe, the younger people in the chat, is it shocking to you? Because I'm still not used to it. I know we're seeing it over and over and over again. I mean, I went to Paris. I traveled to Paris 4 times. Two of it was after all of this happening. And I was like, what? Like, this is not the Paris I remembered when I traveled to Paris with my parents as a kid. I'm like, yeah, this is things every time things were changing in a dramatic way. And it's like, I don't know. I'm not used to it. Are you guys used to it? Like, is this normal for you guys in the chat?
I don't know.
Somebody say.
I know. So, regardless, we're gonna be covering because we're talking about one Quran burning that happened, and then there was actually another one that happened in the UK this week, and the guy ended up getting attacked and stabbed. But we're gonna talk about that next week. And then I heard, well, I'll get into it later when we actually dig into the news story. It's a real mess. It's a real mess. And honestly, what drives me the most insane is all the free speech and free expression restrictions.
Yeah. So not only in some countries are not only they're not fighting back, they seem to be giving into it, and like they're bending the knee.
How bad do things have to be where you welcome in the other with open arms, and then you have to rearrange your society so that the other will stop attacking and killing you?
Reverse assimilation.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I mean,
the absolute
we were asking for assimilation, but not like this. Not like this. We were asking them to change to liberal values. We weren't asking for Western countries to assimilate to their values. I mean, okay. Well, that is our first news. Do you want to, guys, before we start, make sure you like the stream. We need more people to watch this. Okay, so please do that. And also a reminder that we will read the super chats between the news shows, and super chats and memberships are a great way to support the show. So please support the channel if you can in that way. Memberships and super chats. Okay. All right. So, should we clap for the first news?
Yeah. No. We're at a place where I'm traveling to the UK next month, and my boyfriend is like worried for me. He's
wow. Yes.
He's like, Susanna, you're not allowed to be saying political stuff when you're in the UK. He wants to. We're at a point where he thinks that to protect my safety, I need to put a gag order on myself in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, he has a point. I mean, I get it.
No, but isn't it crazy that that's the state that we're in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I'm like, well, I'll be fine, baby. Don't worry. But
I mean, I felt that like when I was in London, I went to Speaker's Corner.
Well, I'm not going to Speaker's Corner. Okay, I'm not.
Yeah, I am actually seriously considering not coming back here anymore. Like, I don't think if I can come here and challenge Islam as aggressive as if I keep doing this at Speaker Corner. I don't think that's good for my safety.
Yeah.
And feeling that in London is like, wow, I'm actually thinking in London. I'm in London in a place that was designed for people challenging each other's ideas. And I'm thinking that if I do that, I would be risking my safety. So that is saying a lot, feeling that in London. Like I used to feel, I know how that feels because I lived in Tehran and Shiraz for a huge portion of my life. So I know what it feels to be worried about saying things and the consequences of that to your safety. When I traveled to Canada, I felt like that was over. That was the end of it. I would never have to ever in my life feel unsafe for the words that are coming out of my mouth. And I felt that again in London. Okay. Anyways, so let's move on.
Because Islam.
Yes.
Let's go into the first. Excuse me. I am still trying to clear out my sickness from my body. I apologize, everyone. Okay, let's go to the first story, though.
All right. Clappable, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, we have a super chat, but we will read it after the first news. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the super chat. First news.
First news, UK man arrested for burning the Quran. Is free speech dead? The arrest of a UK man for burning a Quran in Manchester has ignited a fierce debate over free speech and the rise of de facto blasphemy laws in Europe. The 47-year-old was taken into custody after live streaming himself setting fire to the Islamic holy book near the Glade of Light Memorial, which is the memorial for the victims of the Manchester Ariana Grande terrorist attack. So he did it at this memorial with the police who ended up charging him. The police charged him with racially or religiously aggravated intentional harassment or harm. His act was reportedly in solidarity with Salwan Momika, the Iraqi-Swedish refugee who was assassinated after staging similar Quran burning protests in Sweden. In response to the arrest, Humanist UK warned no disrespect or damage to a sacred text can ever justify violence against a human being, condemning the erosion of free expression. Critics fear the UK is sliding towards state-enforced blasphemy laws, especially after police publicly released the suspect's name, endangering his life. As Europe grapples with balancing free speech with religious sensitivities, this case raises urgent questions. Is the right to offend now a crime? So there are certain things about this case that are full-blown insane. And is free speech dead in the UK? I'm going to say yeah, honestly. Because he was found guilty. This man pled guilty to this quote unquote crime. Now, obviously, the position that we take here at Atheist Republic is that blasphemy is not a crime. It's the most obvious thing in the world. Blasphemy is not a crime because none of us have the right to be free from being offended. None of us have the right to be protected from offense by the government with the enforcement of the monopolization of state violence vis-a-vis the police. That's insanity. Because it is impossible to maintain equality under the law if that is our standard. It is not a level of harm. The offense you experience is not a level of harm that is so egregious as to require intervention by the government. Because again, it's an impossible standard to apply equally under the law. And okay, so apparently this guy was burning this Quran in front of this memorial for that commemorates the victims of the 2017 Manchester Arena bombing. Again, another Islamic terrorist attack. And he was approached by another man. Where was the who tried to stop him from doing it, who freaked out over how offensive it was, and it said that it caused him great harm and all this stuff. Wait, where I want to find the details about the guy that tried to stop him. One second. No.
I have some. I have a video of a man being arrested for burning the Quran. I can show that. I could download that and show that as well. I don't know if this is the same guy, but let me actually. Well, I don't know if you want to show that. Well, it's all over Twitter.
Okay, so basically what happened is there was this guy who witnessed the Quran burning, tried to stop him, and basically was just talking about how he was so offended. He's never experienced emotions like he experienced in that moment and all this stuff. The problem is that he is charged with a certain crime. And the crime that he was charged with was Public Order Act 1986 under Section 4A or Section 5, but which is treated as racially or religiously aggravated under Section 31 of the Crime and Disorder Act, which increases the penalty when hostility towards a racial or religious group is demonstrated or presumed. So this is automatically a de facto blasphemy law. Because when the religious group is the one deciding or that it is hostility or that it is demonstrated and presumed, then that means that they're dictating those laws. Like, the UK is not a theocracy. What kind of nonsense is this? How can you say that hostility towards a racial or religious group has been demonstrated when I remember following on Twitter, him posting about how he was going to do this on Twitter before it happened. I found his account and he was like posting his updates about what he was going to do and where he was going to do it. And he made it clear the entire way that he was doing this in solidarity with Salman Momika, who was someone who was murdered for their free expression. Like, am I being stupid? If you declare your motive and your motive is to be in solidarity with people who were assassinated because of their free expression by a certain group, how is that like religiously aggravated hatred? When you're stating that your intention, you're stating your motive this whole time. And so not only was this man, he pled guilty. So not only has he pled guilty to this quote unquote crime, but the police published his name. They published his name knowing full well what happens to people who are accused of blasphemy in the UK. Let us not forget that the Batley Grammar School teacher who is giving lessons to his students once again about a foundational principle of the nation of Britain, which is free expression. And because he gave that lesson, and I think showed pictures of Charlie Hebdo as an example, the Muslim community was so riled and targeted against him that teacher had to go into hiding several years later, almost 4 years later, remains in hiding, had to change his name, and suffers from PTSD. So we all know full well what the consequences are. And they decide to publish his name for this? I don't know. That's beyond the pale for me. That's absolutely insane. And once again, we see a pattern emerging across Europe that the people who are not doing anything to hurt anyone are being charged with crimes for doing what they want to their own property.
Yeah,
for causing offense.
People, would it be again? I'm only asking a question. Okay. Because I think it's actually helpful if, in reaction to this, again, I don't want to promote anything, only if it's legal within your country. Okay. For legal reasons, I'm not promoting anything illegal. on this YouTube channel. Okay, I do think it would be helpful for practical reasons for more people to burn the Quran or insult the Quran. That would reduce violence, and I could argue this forever, and I am correct about this. Burning more Qurans, insulting more Qurans in the face of this is actually good for safety and security, because we don't negotiate with terrorists. If you bend the knee, if you back down in response to threats of violence, you get more violence. You're signaling to the people who use violence as a threat that their violence is working. You know, I love blasphemy as much as any anti-religious atheist out there, okay? But this is not about just doing blasphemy because we love doing blasphemy. This is actually doing blasphemy for safety and security reasons. This makes practical sense. I know some people do blasphemy because it's just fun to do blasphemy, and some people do blasphemy as a fuck you to the religious people and to the religious the harm that they have received from religious authorities and religious teachings and religious law. But there's a third and practical reason here. You have to continue doing this because not doing it promotes more violence. However, I have to say that for the safety of this channel, I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything that is illegal. Is that would it be illegal for me to suggest that? I mean, apparently it is. Let me know, guys. Anybody has legal advice here? But I think this is cowardly. This is negotiating. And also regarding two-tier policing, any hate speech laws, any limitation on expression of views that could be categorized as limitation of something that could be hateful would ban all Abrahamic religions. How is the Quran and the Hadith allowed in the UK to be taught in mosques and in schools, while you keep pretending that you have hate speech laws, that free speech needs to be limited in some way, and hate speech is not included in freedom of expression, and you're still allowing the Quran and the Hadith to be taught in your mosques? There is no way you could argue. Like, even if I'm not, okay, but even if I was for limiting speech to some degree, to limit hateful expression against expression of hate against other groups of people, any law that wants to do that would have to ban everything that is Islam. So I don't understand this. So somebody explain it to me, because I don't get it. How are they going to do that? I don't understand.
I don't know,
But
the absolute state of things.
These are not what the things that I'm saying is obvious. Like, this is not like, whoa, mind-blowing, wow, Armin, this is so, that's a genius point. These are not even interesting anymore. These are obvious points. Actually, it seems to be not obvious to Little Missy in the chat, because I wanted to respond to her. Little Missy in the chat was saying, can we all just get along and not burn Qurans? How not okay, first of all, not burning. If you want to get along, then let people express themselves in whatever they want, and you just get on with your fucking lives. How is this getting along if certain people are being threatened with violence for burning pieces of paper, fucking paper, and you want us to stop doing that? Isn't that just rewarding the people who are using violence? How is that getting along? You on one side you have people that use the threat of violence, and on another side you have people that are defending the freedom of expression and then you are telling, for the sake of getting along, you're talking to the people who are defending the freedom of expression, the people who want to enforce Sharia on in Western countries.
Let
They
me
should
tell
not
you
be
something. They're not going to stop at not burning the Quran. Let me make something
right.
very clear. They will never stop at just the Quran. Never.
Yes, they're here to implement Sharia, and the people who are burning the Quran are trying to stand in their way because the government is not helping them. If how much do you think we could? How do you think this idea of getting along is going to work when you have Muslims in the UK get to from 6% of the population to 10% of the population, making them a major voting bloc in your politics? How do you think people are going to get along when Muslims are saying that with 6% of the population, they are changing the laws in the UK to the point where the police is arresting people for burning the Quran? You are encouraging them. They're going to become more and more motivated to come for all your politics, and you want to bend the knee to that? Do you think when these people have more power in your politics, you are going to be able to get along in the UK? Wait for if you just roll over and let these people just walk all over you, just say goodbye to. Do you think they want to get over? They don't want to get. Do you think these people want to get along with you? They want you to submit fully, and the more you let them, I mean, it's your doom. I don't know where you live, little missy, but this is the price you have to pay. Some people, it's funny, some people are standing up to that, and instead of thanking them, you're basically asking them to back
Blaming
down.
them. Saying, oh, why don't you just be nice? Why don't you just be nice? You're being so mean. Why don't you just be nice? It's pathetic.
Yeah. And also,
Why in the
little missy
world would
was
I
saying
ever
that,
be nice in the face of people that want me dead? Hungry Goat has an absolutely retarded commentary here, saying, playing devil's advocate for a second, if that piece of paper was a constitution, would you still make the same argument? Okay, first of all, let's split hairs here for a second. If it was a copy of the Constitution, yeah, and it's your own
yes,
property, burn it. I literally could not care less. Second of all, if it was the Constitution, first of all, I think that just because it gets burned doesn't mean that those laws cease to exist. But second of all, the issue would be that you're destroying a historical artifact that is not your own property. It would be property destruction. It'd be vandalism. That's our problem. You can go burn a copy of your own. You go. I can go print it out right now. I'll go rip it up right now.
yeah, I did.
couldn't
I
care
have.
less. Who?
I
fucking
have.
cares?
Okay, so for this comparison to make sense, if somebody goes and takes a Quran from an ancient Quran from a museum and burns that man should go to jail for a very, very freaking long time. Okay, so when you say burn the Constitution, what are you talking about? Okay, did he order a copy of the Constitution from Amazon and now it's his property and he's burning it? Yeah, sure. What the hell not? I have actually, to make that point, I printed the U.S. Constitution on my show, on my Persian show, and I burned it because people said I would not dare do that. Okay, people were like, "Oh, Armin is a hypocrite. He only burns the Quran." I tore it apart. So this is what I did. Okay, I tore apart the LGBT flag, the Constitution, the flag of Israel, because these are the things that I was accused I would never do. And my own freaking picture. Okay, I printed my picture and I tore it apart. I spit on
And
my
your
own
own
picture
book.
and I tore it apart. And my own book, I tore it apart. A book that I wrote, I tore that apart. Who the fuck cares? It's my property. If you take someone else's Quran that does not belong to you and you steal it from them and then you tear that apart or burn that, that is damaging of someone else's property. That's a crime. You should get arrested for that. Okay. But who cares about burning a constitution that you bought on Amazon The Constitution is not going to go away because you burned a copy of it that you own. It's your freaking property.
Yeah. Like, I feel like someone in the UK should just go in public and burn a Bible just to see if the same bullshit happens. Just make a campaign. You could literally be a Christian yourself and go make a campaign where you just go burn a Bible in public, like repeatedly, just to be like, oh, so no one cares? So no one cares. And I'm not getting arrested and I'm not being charged with a crime. So we're just all acknowledging that this is just two-tier policing. We just all know that now because I'm proving it right now. Like, seriously. What in the world would happen? Would the police be called if they were burning the Bible in public? I'd be shocked. So stupid. You could go if you owned your own Torah scroll and you owned your own, if you owned your own Torah scroll and you decided to go burn that, I couldn't give a shit either. Like, are we not adults here?
So Little Missy in the chat is saying, but the Bible is not the word of God, though. Okay, so Little Missy,
the name of this channel.
No, wait, no. So actually, that's a good point, because by enforcing that for the Quran and not enforcing that for the Bible, Little Missy is saying that the U.S. police should accept the authority of the Quran, the divine nature of the Quran. So you're asking, so Little Missy, this is what you're doing. This is actually a point for ours. Okay, so by enforcing this for the Quran, the government of the UK has now recognized the Quran to be a divine verbatim word of God. This is what UK people, this is what your government has been reduced to acknowledging and accepting and submitting to the idea that the Quran is the word of God. Congratulations, you're no longer a secular country. The nature of the Quran as the verbatim word of God has officially been recognized by your government. You're not a secular country anymore.
It's so
unfucking believable.
Wait,
unfucking believable.
Hungry Goat is saying, point is, we all know well that it's about more than just pieces of paper. Both the Constitution and the Quran symbolize something. If a Muslim burned a Western Constitution, you wouldn't not give a shit. No, okay, Hungry Goat. It's because I'm intelligent. It's because I'm intelligent enough to separate certain things. So I would not actually care at all about him burning it as long as it's his own property. If he's doing it while making statements about how he doesn't recognize the legitimacy of the construction of a nation state and wants to establish a caliphate, I would take issue with the values that he's promoting out of his mouth and not with the actual just burning of some pieces of paper. Is that
right? So I think you're mixing. Hungry Goat is mixing two different things. Whether we support the ideas or not, whether we support the freedom of expressing something or not. Okay, so if you support the Constitution, if you're against the Constitution of the United States and support the Quran, well, we disagree with you. Okay, we think that the U.S. Constitution is a good constitution, and we think the Quran is absolute garbage. Okay, but when it comes to expression, if you want to make a statement by burning the Quran or burning the Constitution of the United States, as long as it's your own property, whether we agree with you or we don't agree with you, we support your right to express yourself in either way. The agreement or disagreement, that's a different issue. Even if I disagree with you 100%, like let's say you're against the Constitution of the United States, well, I disagree with you. Would I fight for your right to be able to express yourself by burning it in a way that doesn't harm you or anyone else, and it's your own property? I will absolutely support you expressing that wrong opinion. If I would be against any government wanting to limit you. If a Muslim gets arrested for burning a U.S. Constitution that they bought and own, I would come here and defend that Muslim's right for expressing his opinion in that way. I would do that. I would take advantage of the opportunity to be able to show my consistency in this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think people are confusing the fact that we might have opinions about what someone's intention and statement is when they make this kind of a statement through burning something, and they're confusing that with, should the government be involved in criminalizing this and state intervention to stop it and punish it. Those are
Right.
Those are two separate things. I can have my own opinion about a Muslim doing this right here. But should the state be involved in criminalizing it? No. We in fact we oppose a lot of the stuff that France has regarding their insult to national symbols, for example. We've come out and criticized that for years.
Yes. Yeah.
Torah Worldwide is saying,
like,
I think you guys are wrong about this. Explain why. Explain why we are wrong for asking for equality under the law when it comes to free expression. And the question of if the state should be involved in enforcing state power over individual citizens when it comes to the protection of some symbols over others. Why?
Yeah. Why is your symbols all of a sudden more worthy of protection of other people's? Like, I don't know. This is so idiotic. Ariel is saying he didn't say he would burn a book. He did it. It's not speech. It's Ariel. It's called freedom of expression.
I'm gonna leave, man.
Expression. It's called expression. Expression could be done with speech. It could be done with a dance. It could be done with a performance. It could be done with music. It could even be done with silence. You know how it could be done with silence? In China, for example, when Chinese protesters, when they were protesting, because anything they would say would make that would lead the government to arrest them, they just were holding signs, they were holding empty pieces of paper that said nothing on them, and because people understood what it was gonna, they wrote nothing on it, right? They're just like, you know what I wanted to write on this paper, and I didn't, so I don't get arrested. And by the way, the Chinese government made the sale of A4 printing papers illegal because so many people in China were coming out and holding empty pieces of paper as a sign of protest.
You know that an activist in Australia got arrested for doing that same thing? An Australian citizen got arrested for doing that outside of a Chinese consulate.
Okay, Little Missy
just holding up a blank piece of paper.
Little Missy saying there will always be rules. You are an idiot, Little Missy. I'm sorry. Okay, so yes, there are rules for there can be rules for you to, you know, have your seatbelt on when you're driving. Okay, and there could be rules. We have a rule for a country that you will be executed if you go 1 kilometer, like if you go above 60 on a highway. Like what? Like, just because there are rules, like, oh well, every country has their own rules. Yeah, and some of them are fucking retarded. Just because all countries have rules, that doesn't make they all make sense. I mean, I don't think you're very intelligent, so I'm not going to engage.
I have to call out this person, Torah, and I'm a little bit disappointed because I actually really like a lot of the stuff you say in our community. But he's saying I'd be really hurt if someone burned the Torah. It's a dishonor for Hashem. Burning the Quran is different because it's a violent book, and burning it is a reaction. Torah, you are on your face asking for special privileges above other people in the matter of the law.
Right.
You are asking that you deserve special privileges above others under the law. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
In my country, that's unacceptable. If this is someone's own property, they decide to do this. Why should the government be involved in enforcing its state power upon that individual because of your privilege should be above other people's in the law? That's not equality. This is like a foundational liberal principle.
And also, if you get hurt by seeing something, it's your job not to look at it. So if you get hurt by seeing the Quran being burned or the Torah being burned, okay, then it should be illegal for somebody to force you to see that. Right? But if they're not forcing you to see that, then the responsibility of not seeing the things that you don't want to see is on you, not the person expressing themselves or not the person creating a content. If I write a book that is offensive to you, it's your job not to read it. It's not my job not to write it. It's your job not to read it. If you don't like saying, again, so this is why if I burn the Quran sometimes or I insult the Quran on my shows, I do a trigger warning. Okay. I tell people, I say to Muslims that are watching, like, guys, I'm about to rip, I'm about to spit on the Quran and turn it apart. And if you don't like this, don't watch it. Because I think you should have the right to choose the things that you want to see. I mean, I would also maybe give an advice to grow a thicker skin and stop being such a pussy, and maybe don't be offended so easily. But that's on you. If you still don't, if you don't want to, that's your choice. It's a crime. It would be a crime. I would agree that it's a crime that if a Muslim doesn't want to see a Quran being burned, and I go in their face and I make it impossible for them not to see it, I should be arrested for harassment if I do that. But if I have a YouTube video says like, hey, I'm gonna burn the Quran in this video, okay? If you see a Quran being burned, you clicked on it, motherfucker. The reason why I would make that video is to show that you don't get to stop me. Don't like it, don't watch it. Anyways.
And if you're offended by someone doing this, I get it. I mean, well, I don't get it. I'm an atheist. But like theoretically, I get it. There are things that like offend me, but I have to like come to terms with it. I realize the world doesn't evolve around what I find offensive. I mean, clearly I find a lot of things in most religions offensive. But I'm surrounded by religious people promoting it all day long. I move on. because what offends me is definitely not privileged in the law. Because atheists and what offends us is definitely not privileged in the law.
Right. Yeah, so and all you're not asking for. I mean, if we had if I'm offended by the all the religious texts, to be honest, the things that are there. You don't see me asking for them to be banned.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so
I advocate for certain religious rituals to be banned for sure. But
that's
that's
rituals, of course.
Yeah, that's different.
That is harming children, for example.
Yeah. So should we go to the super chats?
Wait, before, shouldn't we read the comments that Dee selected for us? Yeah. So this is just the arrest.
Yeah.
The pictures of the arrest. Yeah. The arrest looks very intense, by the way. Look at the number of police that showed up for this. Right. And then we have, I don't know if should we post, should I show the video of the arrest? I mean, I could play it while we're reading the super chats. Okay. But here.
Yeah, someone's saying, is burning a book illegal? If the police are going to say it's a Quran, then they are enforcing Islamic law in the UK, and people are not going to stand for that. Well, I mean, I agree. But the problem is apparently they're enforcing laws regarding perceived or presumed religious or racial, like, aggravated hatred or whatever.
Right.
This is why I'm against, like, hate speech laws, period. What a shame they weren't so enthusiastic when investigating child rapists. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Shocking.
That's a good one. And also, you're basically signaling to Muslims that they are stronger. You know what I mean? Like the people. So when you don't investigate the child rapists, right? You're showing the Muslim community that the police of this country fears you. When they arrest people for burning the Quran, they're signaling to the Muslim community in the UK that, oh, look, you are so powerful that the people who are supposed to enforce the law, they limit themselves. Not only they limit themselves when it comes to enforcing the law, they actually use their forces to silence the people who might offend you. So if I was part of this Muslim community, I'm like, expressing offense and anger and looking like crazy and looking like we could get violent at any time It's paying off. Why should we stop? Like, people are like, oh, why wouldn't these people act less violent? Because it's paying off. Acting like you're a maniac, like, what, you have the government bending the knee towards you. Why would they change their strategy? It makes strategic sense for them to continue.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing that I almost forgot to say?
Yeah,
So, when talking about this incident, Assistant Chief Constable Stephanie Parker said, "We understand the deep concern that this will cause within some of our diverse communities and are aware of a live video circulating. We made a swift arrest at the time and recognize people have a right to freedom of expression. But when it crosses into an intimidation to cause harm or distress, we will always look to take further action when it is reported to us." Can I just say, I think the police in the UK literally need to be banned from this. This is a restriction on free expression I'm supporting. They need to be banned from saying diverse communities all the time when it comes to instances like this. You know why? Because then over time, because people already do this, I'm not saying anything revolutionary here, people are going to associate diverse communities with, oh, threats of violence. Oh, diverse communities associated with my free expression and my rights get taken away. Oh, diverse communities means I get treated differently and they get treated with kid gloves. Oh, diverse communities means two-tier policing. This is the association that is going to be built when you keep on highlighting diversity as our strength in the face of stuff like this, and then it's going to build resentment. So, from a PR point of view, I am begging you, please stop saying this.
Do you want to see something crazy? Because I was about to say, I disagree with all Muslims over Islam. All Muslims, I will never back down. Islam is shit. Okay. However, there are a lot of Muslims that I like, that I respect for the other opinions and the other work that they do. Even though I would never back down, and on calling their ideology of Islam shit, I could still acknowledge where they write about other things and the good work they're doing in other things. Okay, and I also want to mention that the Muslims who are good people, even though they have a shit ideology, they have managed to remain good people. All right, those Muslims, right? If you are not coming out and speaking out against this, because this is an insult to you, the government of the UK is treating you like a pathetic little child that has to be protected over. Like, they're treating other people in this country, in the UK, as adults, and you are being treated like children that cannot just take it. Okay? And this is an insult to you. And if some people think,
or you're being treated like a thug that needs to be catered to so that you don't have an outburst of deadly violence.
Right. And some people might say, Armin, you're asking for too much. You really think that there are Muslims who will come here and speak in defense of people who are burning the Quran and find this offensive? Well, I have a video for you of a Muslim woman who did just that. Again, I know this is rare, but I take a win where I could have
a win is a win.
A win is a win. Look at this Muslim woman who is support after the murder of the Swedish Quran burner. Look at this. She came here and she in defense of him. This is what he did. Oh wait, the music. I'm gonna cut the music.
The irony is. Oh, now she's speaking.
Okay, yeah. Let me see.
أفضل طريقة لحفظ القرآن الكريم هو حرقه عند تمزقه كي لا يهان أو يداس عليه، فقد أحرق عثمان بن عفان بعضا من المصاحف في وقته. انشروا هذا المقطع فالدال على الخير كفاعله.
Okay, so somebody.
الله خير الجزاء.
Somebody who speaks Arabic, please translate for us. I speak Persian. I don't speak Arabic. So if you speak Arabic, let us know. But Susie, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say, and I think she might be talking about this. The irony is that the way that you're supposed to dispose of a Quran when it's damaged is you're supposed to burn it. I don't know if people know that. That's what.
Yeah.
That's like how you're supposed to
I mean-
ritually dispose of a Quran that's damaged.
Right. I mean, there are different schools of thought. Some people think that's the most respectful way of disposing of a Quran that is too old. Some people bury it. Some people just keep it in attics and like make sure that they're protected forever. There are different schools of thought, but there is one school of thought that even the other schools of thought that don't believe in it, they don't like challenge. They don't think like it's insane. Like they don't attack it as like blasphemy. But one way of getting rid of Quran that is too old is burning it. Yeah.
So let's go to the super chats. So we got a super chat from Durga in Sweden. Wait, I think I know who Durga is. I think Durga might be one of my secret new volunteers. If so, hi. So excited to see you live. Then okay, we got a super chat from GJ celebrating his membership, saying, I see his conviction as a direct sequel to Robinson. I mean, Tommy, the nature of Tommy's convictions are different. They are very different. I see why you can include them because he is so outspoken, and his outspokenness regarding Islam has put a target on his back. I don't think anyone would argue otherwise. But to my knowledge, I don't think Tommy's desecrated the Quran publicly. Has he been charged with this like penalty regarding aggravated or presumed hate speech? I don't think so. I think it was the like defamation because of his documentary. Oh, so Valerie is saying to the people in the UK, join the Free Speech Union. And honestly, I would encourage people to do the same thing if you're a UK citizen. The Free Speech Union is a really cool organization. I follow them a lot. And basically, if you're a member and you get in trouble for free speech or expression related crimes, which is a crazy thing to say, or maybe you're fired from a job, they can provide you with legal resources. So it literally is like joining a union that will represent you. Although, of course, before you join, go look into the details because I'm not associated with them. So I don't know what I'm, don't heed my promise. So GJ was saying, remember when I advocated Qurans being compulsorily labeled as inciting discrimination, hatred, violence, terrorism, holy warfare, FGM, etc. I don't remember you advocating for this. Like put a smoker's warning label on it.
That's not a bad idea if we already have that for other things that is not child friendly. Like we need to be consistent. If video games that are and movies and books that are violent are mandatory for them to get a label on them, then it should. Why wouldn't the Quran and why wouldn't the Bible, right? If it's mandatory for them, no, you shouldn't enjoy some religious privilege. Either remove it from all, or if you're adding it to some, add it to the rest.
Bible contains graphic sexual violence. I'd like to see how that goes down.
Yeah. It has incest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gation American is saying, not to split hairs, but the UK was never de jure secular. Parliament derives its power from the crown, and the crown derives it from God. No, I mean,
so
I see your point, Gation.
Secularism is not binary. It's not, do we have secularism so there's two things you have to. So first of all, it's a spectrum. Second of all, sometimes there are things that are symbolic, and there are certain other things, and I'm against all of it, right? But I am more concerned about things that are actually influencing laws rather than things that are symbolic. I would like to get rid of symbolic religious influence as well for full-on secularism, right? But I am more concerned when religion is actually influencing policy and laws, than when you just have symbolic, religious symbols or ceremonies, or names for different parts of the government. Okay, both are worrisome. One of them makes you much less secular than the other one, right? And again, so that's how I see it. But
oh, and by the way, Sarah was saying that Muslim lady with the Quran was saying what I assumed, that the best way to preserve the Quran is to burn it when it's torn, or so it's not trampled on.
Yeah, so
Uthman burned the Quran, blah blah blah.
Okay, so Uthman, when Uthman burned the Quran, he was burning false Qurans. Yeah, so there's three things here. Okay, we have people who burn the Quran as a way to express a position against the Quran, people who burn the Quran, and that's what she was trying to make. She put out that video to try to encourage Muslims stop getting angry over Quran being burned, saying this is part of our practice. Anyways, so then we have Muslims burning the Quran as a way to, if it's torn, so people don't, it's not gotten rid of in a disrespectful way. And then we have Uthman burning the Quran. That was completely different. He was basically trying to codify the Quran into one book, and he was just basically getting rid of all the other books that were not the true Quran. I mean, and also that never happened. These are all stories that were basically made up during the Abbasid dynasty. None of the stories are real. But yeah.
Okay. Woo. Okay. Oh my God. Sorry, I lost my place in the super chats. Okay. Oh, Kenny gifted 5 Atheist Republic memberships.
Yay.
Thank you so much, Kenny. And we also had some comments that I thought were really interesting. Cece is here saying, I'm a Muslim that's against Sharia law and religious preachers, honestly. And so many Muslims are calling me a non-Muslim for saying that. And Cece also said, responding to our disagreements with Torah Worldwide, saying, hey, Torah, I'm a Muslim. Free expression is free expression. But to be honest, some Muslims are so violent, like Quran burning is such a risky thing. And Cece also had a heavy support for your opinion, Armin, saying, thank you, Armin. As a Muslim in the UK, I am more insulted by the government than the burner.
See, like Cece is the type of Muslims that I would I would disagree with him on his position on Islam, but our disagreement does not have to turn into hatred. We have other similar values, right? Again, he doesn't have to back down on his disagreement with my atheism. I don't have to back down on my disagreement with his Islam. We have other similar values in other areas that we could celebrate. He's for free speech. I'm for free speech. And we probably, if I met him in real life, we will probably get along and become good friends as well. I mean, this is what we want. We don't want we want Muslims and atheists and Christians and Jews not to stop their disagreement. We just want to make sure that we could express our disagreements passionately and still be able to live side by side. Okay, we don't want agreement to be a condition for friendship. That's what we want. I want to be as anti-Islam as I possibly can and still get along with Muslims while expressing my anti-Islam views. Okay, yeah. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. I think Cece would tell you here that is, a lot of people are like, oh, that's impossible, Armin. How could you even imagine that a Muslim would befriend you while being so un-Islamic? Well, we have Muslim fans. I see it all the fucking time. And this channel, this anti-Islamic channel, has Muslim fans. So there you go. It is possible.
And then I like this. Yusuf is also loudly agreeing. I'm definitely more insulted by the persecution of Muslims than by the burning of the Quran.
Yes.
See,
and
this
I,
is
and I
you.
wish
You have your priorities in the right place.
right
Love to
place.
see it.
Again, this is the reason why we are so anti the word Islamophobia. Okay, because when they use the word Islamophobia, a lot of Westerners get concerned, justifiably, for attacks on Muslims, and then they call it Islamophobia, and they create bureaucracies and institutions fighting Islamophobia, and they put Muslims in charge of that, and those Muslims use all the funds not to go protect Muslims from harm, but to go protect Islam from insults. When you call attacks on Muslims Islamophobia, then don't do a Pikachu face, shock face, when people that you gave the funds to go protect against Islamophobia, they're like, what is Islamophobia? Attacks on Islam. Like, no, motherfucker, you were supposed to protect Muslims, not Islam. Anyways.
Yeah, this is why we call it anti-Muslim bigotry, not
Yes.
Islamophobia. Someone's like, "Oh, Sandy, you're an Islamophobe." I'm like, "Yeah, but not an anti-Muslim bigot." Okay. Okay, so GJ saying, "Oh no, I think no. We didn't read this." GJ is saying the UK suffers from a lack of a properly written constitution. That the US now suffers from the Supreme Court and president lacking respect for a pretty good constitution. I mean, yeah, it's a whole wild ride over here. It's a whole wild ride. And by the way, Cece, I'm glad you're here, and I hope you stay. I love to hear your
appreciate it.
perspectives. It's valuable to us.
Yes.
Okay, so Uriel just gave £5. No comment. Thank you, Uriel.
Thank you,
And
sir.
Tora is saying good vibes. See, like, we can have disagreements, and it's not that big of a deal. That doesn't mean we don't like you. I mean,
yes.
some
By the
people
way,
express opinions that I don't like them for, but that's a different matter. Not you, Tora.
but yes, yeah, we would disagree with people who we're friends of in the live chat often. I just want to say the person who bought us membership gifts, thank you so much, because we just reached 230 members. And if you guys become members, that's the best way to support the channel, because we're trying to reach 1,000 members. And I told Susie, based on my calculations, if this channel reaches 1,000 YouTube members, then we are good financially. We don't have any more worries. We could just continue doing Atheist Republic forever. Okay, so we're trying to get us to 1,000 members. So thank you for the membership gifts.
I love this person who's like pissed. He's like, don't donate to them before they become Muslim first, brother.
Would you donate to us if we become Muslims? I will read the Shahada right now. I will become, and then I would leave. After your donation, I would leave Islam again, and I would become a double ex-Muslim.
Yeah. No, you've already done that, though. I think that you'd be like a quadruple ex-Muslim at this point.
Quadruple ex-Muslim, yes.
GJ gave us 2 super chats. Thank you, GJ, with some questions. Oh, and how do Muslims feel about Uthman? How could anyone tell Uthman which Quran is true? In regards to him burning and codifying.
Okay. So first of all, how do Muslims fear about Uthman? If you're a Sunni, you respect him. If you're Shia, you hate him.
You hate him. You curse him with your whole heart.
If you're really extreme, you have to curse him with passion.
Birthday cakes to celebrate his demise.
Right. And also, how does he know which Quran? So I guess I mean, one way of explaining that is like Allah will promise that he would take care of the Quran. So whatever Uthman did, Allah works in mysterious ways, and he managed to do something that he picks the right one. There's that. But also there are some Shia narratives that says that Osmanic Quran is not the right Quran. And most of the Qurans, all the Qurans that we're holding today, is not the complete Quran. And it was Imam Ali, that was holding the right version of the Quran with all the parts. And Osman and Omar and all those evil people never accepted it. And when the Mahdi comes, the 12th Imam of the Shia comes, he will bring with him the complete version of the Quran that Ali was preserving. So that's, by the way, this is some, yes, this is Ali. So there's that's the version as well. So
Ay. Okay. So shall we move on? Oh, and now Mustafa is confirming what we say is the truth.
yes. But among the three first caliphs, the one that is hated the most by Shias is Omar, the second one. Osman was the third caliph. And actually, the first civil war that happened within the Muslim community was over the murder of Osman, because Ali, when he became the fourth caliph, he refused to punish the murderers of Osman. And this is what started the civil war. And this is what also turned Aisha, the wife of Muhammad, into a war with Ali, which I never understood how Sunnis like Ali and Aisha at the same time, given that they were in a war with each other over the murder of Osman. So that's a whole other. Can Sunnis like? Oh, I actually know what some explanation is. It was the Jews who tricked them. And
oh yeah, of course.
yes, of course. Yeah.
You thought you were gonna get away with it this time.
right. Of course, you could usually explain most problems away Islamically. It was the Jews.
Yeah. By the way, the cat lady saying, Armin, I apologize for my unhinged comments in the previous stream. I was tired. I don't even know what happened there. You're great.
Oh, thank you. No, it's okay. Even if you like, I wouldn't hold that against you. We disagree here sometimes. It's fine. Like, that's great. No, I love you.
No, I just love the coming back being like, I'm sorry, I was unhinged.
You're talking to a person that is unhinged 99% of the time, so I get it.
No, that's actually not even joking. How most of when Armin and I have an argument, that's how they go a lot of the time. Yes. I'm like, you know what? I'm being stupid. You're right. You know what? I am being unreasonable. Okay.
Hey, I said that sometimes too.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to the.
Mostly me. Okay, let's go to the next story.
Well, let me unstar. Can I unstar all the star ones remaining on stars? Yeah. Yes, right? Yeah. I started this comment from Zaid because he was making the exact point I made. So
yeah.
All right. So is the next story clappable?
Yes, because fucking psycho-terrorists were stopped.
Okay.
How about that?
Great. I like how you phrased. Yeah, how about that? Okay. Next news.
Muslim converts jihad plot exposed. UK mosque targeted. So this is a situation where the converts be crazier than the other Muslims gonna go attack the other Muslims. So we got a problem here. Okay, in the United Kingdom, in a chilling case of homegrown extremism, UK Muslim convert Jason Savage has been convicted of plotting a terrorist attack on a Birmingham mosque and an Islamic cleric known for opposing terrorism. Surveillance footage captured Savage scouting the mosque in Small Heath, where he ominously stated, I just need the means now. Ask Allah to give man's the means, bro. Sorry. I'll show you guys the video later. It's like the most stereotypical, like, roadman-esque, like, dawa bro ever. It's so cringe. Prosecutors revealed that he had researched knife fighting techniques and shared a video of Osama bin Laden and had insisted that his targets needed to be hunted down. His radicalization, linked to an extreme faction of the Salafist movement, led him to see even other Muslims as enemies. Savage was caught after unknowingly messaging an undercover officer about waiting for an opportunity to present itself. His conviction, following a 3-week trial, underscores the persistent threat of ideological extremism and the dangerous influence of online radicalization. His sentencing is set for April 11th, with authorities investigating his full network and motives. Okay, so let's recap here. This is a problem where someone converts to Islam and they actually become more extreme than their local Muslim population. And actually, this guy went to go hunt down and kill an imam in Birmingham because the imam was against Islamism. And the imam was against extremism.
Wow.
So this guy took it upon himself to go murder the local imam. And this is pretty similar. Well, there's some differences, but you guys will remember a few months ago, we covered a story that actually happened several years ago. I can't remember exactly when, but the recap of the story is that there was an imam who was from Bangladesh, and then there were two young Muslim men, one of whom ended up joining ISIS, I think, or they were ISIS sympathizers at the very least. And these young Muslim guys went and targeted that imam and assassinated him because they thought the imam was doing deviant black magic rituals. Do you remember that story? And then one of them ended up fleeing the country. And I think they think he ended up in Syria and is probably dead. So this is a problem of, like, I guess you would call it like internal, again, Valerie, this is a genuine question I have.
I don't know.
Why are they always ginger? This is an actual thing that at this point, this needs to be studied.
This needs to be studied. Like, are we like seeing trends that are not here? Why is it that white people who convert to Islam, like, there's the ginger ones in them is so high? Like, is this, like, are we imagining things that are not there? Or
Dude,
is this real?
I didn't even think about it. I went undercover at a charity event for a Hamas aligned charity recently, and I was chilling, and I sat at a table with this couple, and the husband was, like, very obviously a convert. He was ginger. I didn't even think about it. I'm just thinking about it right now. Guys, what is going on?
I don't understand.
My suspicion is that they get bullied for being ginger,
yes,
and having no soul, and they're like, because that was like a meme, at least when I was growing up, like, gingers have no soul. And then maybe they're like, you know what? You know who does guarantee my soul? Allah. I don't know. This is my only theory. I'm not even kidding.
Well, I mean, the way I would phrase it is that I think maybe being ginger gets you isolated in school, right? As a child, and then being isolated. Maybe I'm just making stuff up. Let's see. Like, there needs to be a study. And then if you're isolated and lonely, you're desperate for a community, and becoming a Muslim is one way of gaining a community. Maybe that's it? Is that it? This is my guess.
I don't know.
The lesson is, guys, don't bully gingers in school, or else they're gonna go ISIS on you eventually when they grow up.
Dude, okay? I think this might be a national security threat at this point. Like, what is going on? Oh, Armin, before I forget, in the private chat, I just put a video that I want to show for this story that I forgot to include. So if you could go quickly download that, that'd be super helpful. But I wanted to give a few more details about this case. So basically, this guy ended up converting to Islam, becoming super radicalized, being part of an extreme part of the Salafi movement. And he had a huge problem with this mosque. Now, the thing that's interesting, a lot of people don't understand that there's actually, like, a lot of diversity within Salafism. So the mosque, and they had a shop and a publishing house all associated with itself, advocated for a strand of Salafism that stressed the importance of non-involvement in social and political activism. So, like, they were still Salafis, but they're like, we think that we should have non-involvement in certain areas of social life and politics. And the cleric that this guy was targeting was an outspoken critic of Islamist terrorism, and he would say that this terrorism is incompatible with the true essence of Islam. And this convert became convinced that this imam was a disbeliever, and he had strong disapproval of disbelievers. And he was saying that he needed to, some of the quotes that were included were that, he needed to put his head on the chopping block, and that he needed to be hunted down. And he published all these videos of him. Well, he didn't publish them, but they found all these videos of him casing out the joint. So we can actually show that video right now.
One that way. Another road here, one that way. That seems like the best way. That seems like the best way to get away from. Police will probably come from that way and that way.
Wait, he recorded this?
Yeah, he was like on his phone, like recording his notes on his escape tactics and his notes on where to go. There was another video that I can't find right now, but I remember
who is he explaining it to himself for future reference?
I don't know.
Like,
or maybe because he was messaging someone that he didn't know was actually like undercover police, and so maybe he was sending it to his undercover contact, because in one of the videos that I remember watching where he's like, oh man, what's the quote? The quote is so funny because it's just so, I don't know how to put it. It's just like my mental stereotype of a UK roadman. Like, what is the quote? Oh, God damn it. Yeah. Just need the means now. Ask Allah to give the means. I can't do the accent, but ask Allah to give man's the means, bro. Like, I don't know.
Nice.
Just talking in those terms about these things is like so weird and funny to me.
It's so interesting. It's so funny to hear all these Islamic sayings that we grew up with, but in British accent and from
bruv.
Like even no,
ask
but
Allah
like,
to give man's the means, bruv. Like, what?
Yeah, but it was originally weird for us, like people who grew up in Muslim countries, to see even Muslim-looking people like Pakistanis in the UK speaking about these terms, but with British accent. That took some getting used to, and now it's another level of getting used to that. It's not just British sounding; it's also British-looking people are saying the very same things that we were like, wow, like, dude, like, this is like, these words are coming out of your mouth, doesn't just it doesn't match what we are used to. Like, how is this coming from you? Like, and you know what I mean? Like, it takes some getting used to. It's weird. Sorry.
But yeah, anyways, so we've reached a situation where the converts are coming after the original Muslims. And it's actually interesting. There is some evidence that indicate that converts are disproportionately involved in terrorist activities.
Yeah.
Because it comes up so often that I started to look into this, and their converts are disproportionately likely to commit terrorism.
This is how I would explain it. Okay, it's not that crazy. Even though Islam is crazy, it's not that crazy for you to believe in the crazy that you grew up with. I get that. It's just human. Okay, it's human for you, even though if the ideology is absolute nonsense. Humans are followers. Humans are social animals who are followers. So if you grew up in it, you would more likely believe in it, even if it makes no sense. But it takes a whole other level of crazy for this not to be the ideology you grew up with, and you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Okay, that takes a level of insanity that whoever is converting to Islam, they're more crazy than people who grew up Muslim, like a lot. Like I mean, I would say that the people who grew up Muslim, they're not even crazy. It's just like they're doing what humans do. Okay, but if you're choosing, if you were not Muslim, and if you're choosing Islam as their true religion, then I don't know, man. You're a different level. You're completely a different level. So I don't know. I don't get
So,
you.
for comparison, there was one study that found that 16% of Islamism-related offenses in the UK are committed by converts, which is 4 times higher than their estimated population in the overall Muslim, their estimated proportion in the overall Muslim population. That's crazy. CC had an interesting comment. He's saying that makes sense. I think it's because they generally think deeply before they convert, so they have a strong affinity to radicalism, whereas the average Muslim doesn't think about it. They're just Muslim. Yeah, exactly. It's just the culture in which you're
Yeah.
raised. It's just who you're around. You're like, oh yeah, well this is what we do in my family. Blah blah blah.
Right.
Zayd is saying along those lines that the convert zeal is a well-documented phenomenon and not just in Islam. I would agree. I
Yes.
think another aspect of it is that they I think people will know what I'm talking about when I say that I have watched a lot of videos about converts to Islam talking about the severe difficulties they face as reverts in the Muslim community and how they are treated, to some extent very welcomingly, because they're like very excited to have a convert in their midst. But there's another element where they're treated with a sense of suspicion, or they're held to a very tough standard that's difficult for them to adjust to in a short amount of time. Like if someone converts, but they had a pet dog and Muslims are pressuring them to get rid of their dog. It's like, well, I'm not going to get rid of my dog.
Or-
I took on the responsibility of taking care of this animal. Or if they had tattoos, it's like, no, like they're looked at suspicion because they have all these tattoos. It's like, well, that was my life before. Like I should be forgiven for that. Like, or maybe it's going to take
Right.
time for me to work on
Or
removing
makeup. Or if you're
Makeup.
if you're a convert that doesn't wear the hijab or at the beginning, they are okay with that. But if you continue not to wear the hijab, like you've been a Muslim for 1 year and you're still not wearing the hijab, then people are like, okay. Like if you're wearing makeup, then you're gonna get a lot of pressure from
You're
the
going to have
ummah.
some issues with the haram police. And the problem is that I have seen, just in my observation, anecdotal experience, a lot of converts try to be more intense than the born Muslims to show that they're actually like legit. Like they have to overcompensate, basically, is what I'm trying to
Yes.
say.
So
Like on
so if you were
the white
okay.
guy who's the convert at the 5 Pillars newsroom in the UK, I think his name is Richard or Robert. He says some stuff that makes the other hosts who are like Bangladeshi or Pakistani go like, whoa, well, we don't mean that. But he says this like more intense stuff. Like he said that we need the Taliban in the UK. And they're like, hold up. Like,
hold up.
and I'm like, Richard, you don't need to overcompensate so hard. We know that you're Muslim. It's okay that you're white. Like, God damn.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, if you get, for example, an average Muslim woman in the UK who grew up in a Muslim family who doesn't wear the hijab, I mean, she might get some comments that why you're not wearing the hijab. But if you're a convert Muslim woman who's not wearing the hijab, then you're more likely to be told that you're not doing Islam properly. And also, this causes some infighting between the Muslim community itself. Some Muslims were like, why is everybody attacking her? Like she became a Muslim and now other people are going to see her bad experience and they're not going to turn Muslim. And other Muslims are like, well, because we have to what are you talking about? The Quran is telling us to do Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar. We
That's
have
our
to tell her
obligation.
that, yeah, it's an obligation for us to tell her that she's not doing Islam properly. Okay, so that's an infighting within the Muslim community that you see how the way they treat new converts is actually, there's a lot of drama within themselves. Some people, some Muslims criticize other Muslims.
They also,
Also,
say it's
one thing
very
I
difficult
noticed,
for marriage.
yes, this is what I was going to say. The white women who become Muslim, they get a lot of support from Muslim men and a lot of attacks from Muslim women. And there's a jealousy here, I think, because Muslim men, they love a white Muslim woman convert. Okay, this is like the most ideal, but the level of attention and that they get, a lot of Muslim women who are not white, they will attack her because they're noticing that they call out their Muslim brothers for chasing, like, what is it? Are we not Muslim enough for you? Like, why all of a sudden this woman is getting all of this attention? Like, are you guys racist? Do you guys just like white women? Or why is a woman who's just became Muslim yesterday getting this much attention compared to somebody who has been Muslim all their lives? Like, shouldn't that be your priority? Somebody who understands Islamic tradition, wouldn't a Muslim woman who understands Islam more fully be a more compatible partner? So there's a lot of jealousy and infighting going on there. And also, just one more thing about the average Muslim. So you see Muslim converts, they care about Muslim on average more. I want people on this channel to understand that the average Muslim out there doesn't really think about Islam that much. Okay, like the average Muslim out there, they're actually, if you could read their minds throughout the day, they're mostly
they gotta go to work, man.
They have to go to work. They're brushing their teeth. They're thinking about how to pass their grade, and in fact,
dealing with their kids fighting with each other.
Yes, they don't like, and this is something that's a lot of religious Muslims hate, the fact that most Muslims don't think about Islam that much, or they're not as knowledgeable about Islam. They don't even care to go and educate themselves more about Islam. It's not a priority thing. It's not on their minds all the time, okay, or even most of the time. Even the Muslims who pray 5 times a day, even them, when they go through these things, it's just like they think about it as much as you're focusing on brushing your teeth every day when you do it, because like brushing your teeth for you is a habit that you do every day, right? Hopefully at least twice a day, right? But you don't think about it, like it's not something like your intention, like it's just something you do to get it done and go. So we have minimalist Muslims and nominal Muslims, and minimalist Muslims and nominal Muslims are the vast majority of Muslims worldwide. Minimalist Muslims are Muslims who do the bare minimum, like they fast and pray, and they don't drink and don't eat pork, and that's about it.
Sometimes they don't even do that.
But that's nominal Muslims. Nominal Muslims are Muslims who, if you ask them if you're a Muslim, they will say yes, but their life is almost identical to somebody who's not a Muslim, right? And we have in between these two, okay? So nominal Muslims and minimalist Muslims are the vast majority of Muslims out there, right? And this is not because of Islamic reform, because reformist Muslims are not nominal Muslims or minimalist Muslims, because reformist Muslims actually think about Islam and have put some thought into it, and their mind is occupied by it. I'm not talking about reformist Muslims, okay? A lot of times reformist Muslims try to take credit for minimalist Muslims and nominal Muslims, but it has nothing to do with them. The reformist Muslims are fewer in number, more than the conservative or extremist number. They're actually the lowest number. And because they're so low in number, they try to take credit for the peacefulness of nominal Muslims and minimalist Muslims. Then the peacefulness of nominal Muslims and minimalist Muslims has nothing to do with the reformist Muslims. These people are ignoring Islam. Reformist Muslims are people who think about Islam and try to come up with a different interpretation, but these two other Muslims, they're just ignoring it. Okay, so that's the difference.
Yeah. But I'm curious for the Muslims in the live chat about our take regarding the zeal and overcompensation of converts? Is this something that you've seen in your community? I'd be
Yeah.
very curious to hear. So shall we go through the comments
Yeah.
that Dee found for us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
someone say
The first
again.
comment.
This needs to be studied in a lab. This needs to be
Right.
studied in a lab at this point.
By the way, guys, we're not encouraging on this channel for you guys to be suspicious of ginger people. Okay, please stop ginger bullying. Okay, this is not what we're
No,
advocating.
at this point,
In fact-
this is a plea. This is a plea.
Yes. Yeah.
We need to nip this in the
Okay, so
bud.
no hate. We are not encouraging any hate or bigotry towards gingers. Okay, please do not do that.
Yeah, that was the video I showed. It goes to show
Weird
that Muslims in the UK or in Europe aren't even safe from other Muslims. Yeah, and this person is saying converts have a tendency to be the worst believers. Well, I don't know if worst. I'm not gonna be nitpicky.
Well, worse from our perspective, the more
Yeah.
religious you are, the worse that is. So yeah, the worse I would say.
Oh my God, this person is okay. So this is just a white supremacist. Jesus Christ, with the account "Fight White Extinction," saying if it was on a mosque, should have let him crack on. No, thank you. We condemn this in the strongest terms. Don't be
This
so
guy
lame.
This is a different level of crazy.
Yeah, no,
From the
that's
other side.
Jesus. CC, as a Muslim, is saying, my family agrees to the more religious you are, the more annoying you are.
This is the Muslim family. saying
No,
it.
that's actually how Armin's family, who were nominal Muslims, felt when he was going through his Basiji phase. They're like,
Yes. My family, when I was in Iran, I would consider my family at that point to be nominal Muslims. When I became an atheist, my family's reaction was like, "Oh, thank God," because they couldn't handle my religious phase. Okay.
I wish my son would stop fucking trying to make me pray all the time. God damn. Let a man live.
Yeah. My dad was on it because my dad was, when he was drinking his whiskey, I was like a morality police in the house. I was like trying to stop him. My dad was fucking annoyed with that.
I felt so bad for young Armin though, because you were so terrified for their soul, and you suffered.
Yeah, I was trying. I was
because of that.
every night. I was imagining
so
them burning
sad.
in hell. Yeah. No, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't trying to implement Sharia in our home. I was trying to save my parents from burning in hell. Do you know how? Yeah. For people who are new here, I was very concerned about me and my family burning in hell. And I actually burned my skin when I was a kid just to see how much it hurts to burn, just to experience the pain. And that's why I was so desperate to try to save my mom and my dad, because they weren't doing anything Islamic. Yeah.
It's so
that's that
sad.
story.
Well, it's also why you jumped out of a window, but that's a different story.
That's a different story. Yeah.
People are like, what? Okay, so let's go to the next story.
What about the super chat?
Oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't realize we got some. Yay!
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Gaijin is saying it was considered bad to deface the Little Red Book, but when Lin Bao, so he's talking about China, guys, but when Lin Bao was purged, it became anti-revolutionary to not tear out the page of Lin Bao. Oh, how the turntables. Bull McLeod gave a super chat. Oh, he's commenting on the convert wannabe terrorist, saying his widow's peak is sharp enough to be a weapon. I love a widow's peak. I love a widow's peak on a man. John celebrating his membership for 9 months. Thank you for supporting the show for 9 months. Saying regarding gingers, laughing my ass off. Have you heard of Hisham Kabani? No, I'm better with faces. Hisham Kabani, Lebanese Islamic scholar. No, what does this have to do with gingers? He's a Lebanese
Well, I mean, he's
scholar.
old. Maybe he was when he was younger. He had ginger. He was a ginger, but
He
looks
appears to
very
be a
white.
Sufi with a
No, we
giant
haven't had
beard.
epic beard.
Kabani has counseled and advised Muslim leaders to build community resilience against violent extremism. Oh, maybe that was the connection because of the guy that the convert was planning to attack. And GJ gave 2 super chats. One saying, side note, UK politics YouTube channel Different Bias polled that from Farage, Robinson, Trump, and Musk, his viewers strongly dislike / hate Musk the most. I mean, I have no idea whose audience is and what the makeup of the audience is. Is this a left-leaning channel? Is this a right-leaning channel? Is the audience mostly in the UK? Or are they mostly outside the UK? I have questions. Go ahead.
With regards to gingers and Muslims, I want people to on our audience to be educated. Not some Salafis paint their beards red. Okay, so don't confuse them with ginger converts. Okay,
That's fair.
And the reason, and the reason why Salafis paint their beard red is because apparently Muhammad did that for beauty reasons, to look good, and they're just copying his model. They also, Muhammad apparently used makeup on his eyes. He used an eyeliner, and some Muslims, if you notice them doing that, coal, yeah,
like coal.
Yeah, coal.
I kind of like a man with
Muslims
coal. Sometimes it's hot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, so I've seen some Shia Muslims do that as a way to copy Muhammad doing that. So there's that too.
I don't blame him.
Good. Yeah, you're real.
Sometimes it does look good. It looks great, even.
Yeah. I'm not making this up. This is apparently.
Coal also apparently can help people in really dry, arid environments. I've heard there's some way that it helps your eyes in the desert. That could be bullshit, but Gasian American gave a super chat. Thank you, Gasian, saying some Buddhist converts suffer from Longum diseases where they meditate for so long they hear voices and have self-deletion ideation. This is a real problem, and actually this is used as an indoctrination tactic in a lot of abusive cults, to be honest. So yeah, when converting, consult with a doctor. So let us go to the next story.
Look, this is like what they do. Like, this is the look. But I don't understand, who was Muhammad trying to impress? His wives?
He's a strong, independent man. He can do what he wants. Confident in himself.
Because he also seemed to be very obsessed with the smell of his mouth. At one time, he was accused of having a bad smell for coming from his mouth, and apparently he was very traumatized by that.
I mean, I'm not going to be a hater. I think we all appreciate, oral hygiene. That's a positive in my book. Okay.
Okay.
So let's go to the next story.
Okay. Clappable? Oh, yeah.
Well, no one died.
Nobody died. Okay. Next news.
Kuwait jails journalist for supporting Israel, the Muslim Brotherhood's role. In a dramatic clash between modernization and entrenched ideology, Kuwaiti journalist Fajr al-Sayed has been jailed for advocating for the normalization of ties with Israel, defying a 1964 law that strictly prohibits engagement with the Jewish state. Quote, "We cannot afford to remain stuck in the past," she argued, emphasizing the cooperation with Israel could help modernize Kuwait's economy and technological sector. Her imprisonment has ignited fierce debate, exposing internal tensions with Kuwait's political landscape, particularly the influence of the Muslim Brotherhood with its local affiliate, the Islamic Constitutional Movement, or ICM for short, which has long opposed any diplomatic shift towards Israel. While countries like the UAE and Bahrain embraced normalization under the Abraham Accords, Kuwait remains a stronghold of anti-Israel sentiment, largely due to the Brotherhood's deep ideological grip. However, al-Said's case signals a potential turning point, as growing tensions between the Kuwaiti government and the Islamist factions suggest that the nation might be at the cusp of a larger geopolitical reckoning. I'm feeling like I'm having a hard time talking because of my stuffy nose still. But regardless,
Right.
I thought that this was a really interesting thing to cover. One, because Kuwait usually isn't on my radar. And two, to kind of show that there is a demand within these countries of people who are very open and advocating that they want a closer relationship with Israel. And unfortunately, I think that's an amazing positive thing, but they're paying a price for it.
Do you know what she says specifically?
Let me try to find the quote.
Also, is the government, do you get a sense? I mean, we haven't been following Kuwait for a very long time, but for people who might know more, is it the sense that the government is doing this because the government wants to do this, or the government is trying to appease the Muslim? Like, is the government scared of the Muslim Brotherhood influence, and they're basically trying to just give in to their demand, while also at the same time trying to maybe follow the lead of countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE, and eventually, because we know the back and forth in like Saudi Arabia, right? We know Saudi Arabia is desperate to jump into the arms of Israel. Like Saudi Arabia, if the population of Muslims allow them, they would let Israel just, they would make love with Israel. That's what it would do. Okay? They would just, no, seriously, Saudi Arabia, if the Muslim population would let them, they would just jump into their arm of Israel and would like, take me, daddy. They would do that. Take me, daddy. US is abandoning me. Please, I need a strong as a country to protect me in the region.
I need a defender.
I need a defender. They would do that in a heartbeat. So I don't know if Kuwait is also like that. Is like wants to do that but can't because of the people, or what is the political
so
dynamic?
On one part, they have the ICM, which is the Muslim Brotherhood, has a solid base of support that can be traced back like all the way to the 1930s and the 1940s. And partly they did this through a charitable arm called the Social Reform Society, which has been accused of financing terrorism. But basically they are advocating, I mean, not surprisingly, for a more Islamic constitution, for more fundamentalism, for implementing Sharia as their constitution, etc. And so they want to be pulling things farther backwards. And the issue is that, like that's not in their own economic and geopolitical interest. I mean, for obvious reasons. And so there are these competing forces within Kuwait between, this intense religious conservatism, and then it's maybe not even about Israel necessarily. It's just about economic pragmatism. You know what I mean? And so
having a
this
normal
is
relationship
causing a
with countries in
contention.
the region.
Sorry, say
Right.
that again.
Basically, being a normal country that has relationships with other countries instead of fighting with everybody, right? Basically,
Yeah, that
just
are their neighbors.
Neighbors, yeah.
Um
So Amir is saying, what economic pragmatism? I'm curious. Yep, basically having friendly relationships with other economic powerhouses around the neighborhood. That's a huge economic like
Yeah.
putting not prioritizing ideology over economic interest of your citizens, and basically having friendly trade and relationship and and security guarantees from each other around that neighborhood. Yeah, but go on, Susanna, what did you find?
She was sentenced to 3 years in jail because of this.
Wow.
Just a few days ago, the sentencing came out. She was sentenced to 3 years in jail for this. Crazy. And so basically the contention is that they were saying that she was calling for normalization with Israel and spreading false information about Kuwait's intention to normalize, as if she had been like promoting that idea. And she said, "No, I'm not saying that we're going to. I was saying that if we did, I would visit Israel." And they filed a complaint against her, accusing her of damaging the country's interests and violating the quote unified law for boycotting Israel of 1964, and
So she
broadcasting
didn't even
false
say.
news about potential normalization. Sentenced to 3 years in jail for this.
So she didn't. So she got 3 years for saying that if we normalize, I'm not saying we should. If we normalize relationship with Israel, I will go there. She got 3 years for that.
Yeah.
This actually shows how radical some Iranians have become, because in Iran, I don't know if you know this, Susanna, the daughter of Hashemi Rafsanjani, which was a previous president in Iran, she said that she is for normalization of relationship with Israel.
Really? I didn't hear that
Yes.
news.
And not only she said that my father, when he was alive, the former president, was some people are saying, I don't know if she's lying or not, but she's claiming that her father was advocating for that as well. Like she's saying, like, she said it as if so casually, like, my father was not for the idea for us to at some point even talk with Israel. So she just came out and said that in a recent interview. By the way, we don't like her because she's a reformist, right? She's not like a. So the reason a lot of people think that the reason why these reformists are saying this is because the government in Iran is basically slowly falling apart, and the reformists are trying to save it by signaling to people that there is a way, that there's a new regime that we could have in Iran, that is still the Islamic Republic, that will have friendly relationship with the United States and maybe even Israel, that is still the Islamic Republic would not topple. So this is like a lot of people who want the regime in Iran to topple. They say, don't be fooled by these signals of these so-called reformists. But anyway, but the thing is that this is something, the daughter of a regime, of the highest regime official, right? Like Hashemi Rafsanjani was the person that put Khamenei in power. The supreme leader is the supreme leader because that's how high he was at some point. And his daughter now in Iran is saying that we want to get to a point where we could even talk to Israel, which is an insane suggestion, radical suggestion coming out of Iran.
I just wanted to clarify a little bit about what she was actually sentenced on. So she was sentenced to 3 years in prison on charges of spreading false news and misusing the internet. So basically, she was originally attained because she was promoting normalization. Because apparently she's appeared on Israeli news in the past and been like, yeah, I support normalization. But apparently she was acquitted of the specific charge of promoting normalization, and then they found her guilty of like other online activity, misusing the internet, and she had to apologize online. And now the Iraqi embassy is trying to sue her.
What? How's the Iraqi embassy get him?
I don't know. And then they withdrew the lawsuit because she apologized, and then she's gonna quit her political work. Ay, ay,
I
ay.
mean, I think it's quite obvious that this is for her Israel take.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
and
Her legal
yeah.
trouble in Iraq stemmed from a video in January where she criticized the Iraqi parliament's majority vote to end the U.S. presence in Iraq.
Wow.
I mean, that's her
Everyone has after
opinion.
this. Yeah,
God damn.
they're coming after her.
And they're
coming
suing
after her
her
for.
They tried to.
So
Jeez.
many governments. This woman has 2 governments coming after her for her opinions.
Yeah.
So she seems to be just a woman with liberal views.
Someone
with
who wants
normalized-
more security in the region, God forbid.
more stability, more better relationship with Western countries and Israel. They're just coming after her for whatever reason. Seems like
Yeah.
it. Anyways, let's look at the comments that Dee selected for us. What's this one? What?
Someone saying this should have been settled in 1990.
What?
Are you talking about the Gulf War?
So the title of this news says Kuwaiti media icon detained for advocating normalization with Israel. This person is saying this should have been settled in 1990. Maybe talking about when the world came and saved Kuwait from Saddam. Is that what they're just saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What about this comment?
This person is saying this is a nasty country that flies under the radar. There is a decent amount of Islamist activity happening there that I haven't been paying attention to, but I'm starting to a bit more.
I mean, if there's one country that is supposed to be grateful and the most grateful to the world liberal order, it should be Kuwait. Given that the world liberal order just became so more united than ever before, ever since World War II, we have never seen so many countries joining, like getting together to save Kuwait from Saddam. And this is how you behave, Kuwait, instead of being thankful to to the rest of the civilized world. You act like such an Islamist. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, that's it. So,
wait, let me make sure that you can hear me. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Everything's
Cool,
fine.
cool,
You
cool.
having mic problems? Oh.
No, headphone problems. Okay, let's go to the next news because this is some interesting internal.
Susie, you're forgetting the super chats
my God.
again. I'm here on this channel defending our super chats. Please send us more super chats. I'm here to defend you. No, let go. Read them.
GJ gave a super chat. Thank you, GJ, saying as an ex-Protestant from a fess on Sunday.
I don't know what this
Sin on Monday. From a fess on Monday, sin on Monday, Catholic town. I fear even nominal people willing to do fasting dusk till dawn for a month. What will they do in extreme times? So I'm gathering that GJ is saying that he still thinks that people that do ritualized fasting are too religious for his preference.
I don't know.
Because he finds
This
that
requires decoding.
No, he's saying that he thinks that the fasting for a month is extreme. So he's saying, what are they capable of doing in extreme times if that's their normal?
Yeah, I don't know. Are you talking about Muslims fasting for a month? Muslims?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Muslims fasting for a month is actually idiotic, especially because it's dry fasting. Okay. If there's anything that it comes, if there's any benefits from fasting, it's water fasting. Dry fasting is horrible for your health. It doesn't make you tougher. It actually makes you weaker. Okay.
No,
Dry
but that's not
fasting
his
makes you
problem. His
weaker.
problem is that he finds the behavior to be so extreme. And he's saying if that's normal, that you called the nominal Muslims, what are they going to say what are they going to do when things are actually extreme? Because he finds the normal nominal behavior extreme.
Yeah, but by extreme, I'm talking about somebody who thinks like my head needs to be chopped off because I'm an ex-Muslim. I'm not talking about somebody who's hurting their health by not drinking water from dusk to dawn, from dawn to dusk. So that's not what if you want to call that extreme, yeah, I mean, I can see why that was extreme, but that's not what I'm referring to. But thank you for the super chat.
Yeah.
I mean, most Muslims who fast do not do other extreme things, just to be clear.
Oh. Asian American gave a super chat saying, "Have you heard about our new faith office in the fight against anti-Christian bias?" I actually haven't.
Oh yeah, I've seen that isn't that lady, that crazy lady in charge, that lady that speaks in tongues in charge of it. Yeah, Trump created a faith office and put the craziest person possible in charge of it.
Is it that
So,
Paula
yeah,
White lady?
Yeah, I think so. It's that woman who speaks in tongues.
Dude, there's so many Christians who are like, this is so cringe.
Yeah. This actually that's so true, Susie.
So many, especially the trad Catholics. The trad Catholics look down on this so much. You have no idea. It's just really fulfilling all of their opinions that Protestantism is corruption.
It's so interesting that the more of the complaints regarding this came from Christian than atheists, because Christians were like, "This is gonna make us look crazy."
Yeah.
But yeah.
Meanwhile,
all right,
Catholics are like, "See, guys, we were right." The Orthodox are like, "See, guys, we're right."
Yeah.
Protestantism is just trashy.
Trashy.
It's crass. It's tacky. It's just tacky. Where's the gravitas, huh? Where's the gravitas?
Yeah. I mean, Catholics, I know they have their own problems, especially with children, but at least when it comes to aesthetics and design and rituals, there's some elegance to it. You know what I mean?
It's about splendor.
Yes.
And capturing splendor that is worthy of articulating the splendor of Christ and his salvation.
Oh, wow. You know your kid. That's a very clever way of defending all this, spending all this money on this. Yeah, like, how do you make the person who said the meek shall inherit the earth, and going to heaven is going to be as difficult for a rich man as a camel going through the eye of a needle? How are you going to turn that religion and excuse all this spending and all this all these treasures and all these giant buildings? That's how Catholics do it. Like, you have to.
No, that's literally that's me paraphrasing from a description in a cathedral in Spain I visited recently last year.
Right. That's clever. It works.
I mean, to be fair, the craftsmanship is incredible.
Yeah. Actually,
anyways,
to be fair, the Bible is, if you are anti-capitalism, the Bible works more in your favor. Okay.
Yeah.
If Islam is more capitalistic, like more in line with capitalism than Christianity is better for somebody who wants to fight capitalism. Yeah. Anyways, so let's move to the next news, the next story.
Yes.
Okay.
This is some internal Taliban drama.
Oh, wow. Okay. Next news.
Taliban minister flees after defying girls' education ban. In a stunning act of defiance, senior Taliban official Mohammed Shah Abbas Stanikazi has fled Afghanistan after boldly condemning the regime's oppressive ban on girls' education. Speaking at a graduation ceremony in Khost province, he declared, "There is no excuse for this, not now and not in the future," directly challenging the Taliban's hardline stance and exposing cracks within its leadership. Stanikazi warned that they were being unjust to 20 million people, emphasizing that even during the times of Prophet Muhammad, the doors of knowledge were open for both men and women. His rare public dissent sent shockwaves through the Taliban's ranks, prompting Supreme Leader Hibatullah Akhundzada to issue a immediate arrest order and a travel ban. But Stanikazi had already outmaneuvered them by escaping to the UAE before he could be detained. Though he claims he left for health reasons, his sudden exile highlights a growing rebellion within the Taliban, as even some of their own leaders refuse to stay silent in the face of injustice. So this was very interesting because there have been a couple of videos that have come out recently of Talibs coming out and decrying what is being done to girls' education. There was another video that came out. Actually, I asked you to pull it up here.
Wait, these he did leave for he's actually being honest. He did leave for health reasons. Health as in staying alive. I mean, Taliban is bad for your health to be
yeah.
Yeah.
Where there was this video that came out of this Talib like straight up crying when talking about the situation. We can play this. There's no subtitles and the audio quality is really bad. And when I listened to it, it didn't sound like he was speaking Dari. So I don't know if you'll be able to understand it, Armin, but I think he was maybe speaking Pashto or some other language.
Let's see. Why the fuck would you turn on the echo? The echo.
Can you understand him?
He's gonna. No. I don't understand it. But is he gonna cry?
Let me try to find it. Like, let's just skip forward.
Oh yeah, he's crying. He's crying. Wait, let's go back. Let's go back before he cries. Oh yes, passion. Oh, what is he crying about?
The status of girls' education.
Oh.
This was going viral.
I mean, it is. I mean, I was gonna make fun of him for crying, but this is actually, if you want to cry about something, this is actually a legit thing to cry about. This is gonna devastate Afghanistan. Wait, so this guy is Taliban himself?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't expect this stream. I didn't expect a Taliban man crying and me agreeing that the thing that he's crying over is worthy of crying over. Like this is not. I did not expect that to happen on a stream.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And here's the video of the actual. So this was a separate guy, and then this is the guy who fled to the UAE.
So should I go back and play it?
Yeah.
Oh, you could pause it and read the captions.
Okay. We request the Islamic Emirate leaders to open the doors of knowledge. There's no excuse for this, not now and not in the future. During the time of the Prophet Muhammad, the doors of the knowledge were open for both men and women. Half our knowledge has been passed on by Bibi Aisha. So he's explaining, like, for those who don't know, a huge source of hadiths is, you know, Aisha, the child bride of Muhammad, who's known as the mother of believers. So that's what he's referring to. Similarly, there were other female companions who were teachers to male companions. There were such remarkable women that if I were to elaborate on their contributions, it would take up a considerable amount of time. They were teachers of prominent scholars and jurists, imparting invaluable knowledge to them. Whenever men or women faced any issue, they would approach Bibi Aisha for guidance because she was a scholar. The Prophet said, whoever has 2 or 3 wives and does not maintain justice among them will be resurrected on the day of judgment in a state where half of their body will be paralyzed. Oh, he's got the tea. Today, we are being unjust to 2 million girls and women out of the population of 40 million. Excuse me, did I say 2 million? I meant 20 million. Will we not face the same condition on the day of judgment with all of us paralyzed? We have deprived women of their rights, no inheritance, no right to choose their husbands. Giving them away as compensation in disputes, not allowing them education, not letting them enter mosques. Closing the door of universities and schools for them, even barring them from attending religious ceremonies, seminaries. Are we truly following Sharia? Hello. The entire world today criticizes us for these issues, and this is the very problem they have with us. However, the path we are on is not one dictated by Sharia. It is our personal attitude, not Sharia's directive. And because of making these very mild claims, he now had to flee the whole country.
So I know how to push back against him Islamically, because he's suggesting that, you know, taking away women's education and taking them away from the workforce is not Islamic. And he gives examples of Aisha and other women within Islam who were educated and were teaching men, and they were used as a source, okay, and a reliable source of teachings. And the pushback against that is, first of all, the examples he gave as women who were knowledgeable, they were knowledgeable in religion, right? So they were not knowledgeable in math, science, engineering. All the examples she gave, she like the Taliban would be like, yeah, we have no problem for women to go and be educated on Islamic studies specifically. Okay, we have the Taliban like we have no problem for that, for women to do that. Okay, so your examples do not apply. Your, if you want to use Sunnah, Islamic traditions. Two, the woman who you mention as an example. So no, it's not Taqiyya. Okay, so this guy is probably being genuine. Two, somebody said Taqiyya in the live chat. I just want to respond to it. Two, the women who were educated Islamic, even in the examples that he gives, were educated by men within their household. They didn't go to a school for women to be religiously to be taught. There were no women's schools. Okay, these are women who were educated by either their husband or more likely sometimes by their fathers. Like many of so-called Islamic female scholars in Islamic history were daughters of men who were scholars themselves, and these are daughters who were passionate about what their father were studying, and they followed their example of their father. They didn't go to school. They were just in a household where they saying like, yeah, sure, we don't. The Taliban may say like, okay, we don't have a problem with that. If you are a scholar and your daughter is copying you and learning from you, that's fantastic. We will celebrate that. So these examples again do not hold. Okay. So three, these are very small in number. So you could keep giving me like, oh, look at this woman, and this woman, right? And like, if you count all of these women together, they would not make 10. Like they'll hardly make like you wouldn't have like 50 of them. You probably would have a hard time to find 10 examples. But when it comes to religious scholars in Islam, when it comes to men, we have thousands and thousands of thousands, right? So given the how few in number these Muslim so-called scholars are, which were in Islamic scholarship, not in anything else, this shows that these are exceptions. This is not the norm for a woman. The norm for a woman is to cook, clean, and take care of the children. So you keep using these few examples of women that we have as a way that this should be allowed. But if you're following the Islamic Sunnah, the Islamic tradition, the Islamic Sunnah makes it clear that the vast majority of women, the normal role for a woman Islamically is for them to just take care of the household situations, right? So these are, when you give these examples, you fail to mention to your audience how little in number these examples are. So that's the Islamic pushback against it. If somebody wanted to argue against it, right? But however, when it comes to as a liberal, from a Muslim, that would be my pushback. But as a liberal, I completely understand why this man is so worried. I don't think if people understand, like most people understand, that your people are your biggest resources when it comes to the wealth of a society, of a country. It's not your oil, it's not your gas, it's not your rare metals, it's not your fish, it's not your nature, it's not any of that. The main difference between countries that fail and countries that succeed and progress and advance are which countries are taking the most advantage of their human resources. That's the main difference between advanced countries and not so advanced countries. And there is no more of a devastating damage that you could do to a nation than handicapping and paralyzing half of the entirety of your population. You know how you invest in your population Do you know how you take the most advantage of your human resources? Is by investing in their education. There's no way, there's no more sure of a way for you to paralyze the growth of a country by stopping the education of 20 million out of 40 million of them. This is absolutely devastating for Afghanistan. I mean, Afghanistan is already devastated, but this is going to increase it by so much. And also, not only that, Afghanistan is going to get hit double because of this, because a lot of global relationships with Afghanistan is not happening specifically over this issue. And a lot of these people think like we cannot have a relationship with other countries as long as we're doing this to our women. So so yeah, this is, I mean, I'm not saying any good bright futures for, but this is a lot of people think like when we're talking about women's education in Afghanistan, this is a woman rights issue. Like we're only doing this because we care about women. This is way beyond. I mean, we do. I mean, people say like, oh, look at these girls. They really want to go to school and they're not being allowed to. And you feel sad for them because you see the girl crying, desperately trying to go to school. And you think the insistence on women's education in Afghanistan is because we just feel for that bad girl. I mean, we do feel bad for that girl, but this is so much beyond that. This is going to fuck an entire nation for decades to come. This is not just a matter of women's rights and that poor little Afghani girl who is desperate to go to school and we feel bad for her, so we want her to go to school. This is about ensuring decades of poverty for Afghanistan for years to come. It's way beyond that. So there's
that. I'm with you. I'm completely with you.
Right.
Should we go through the super chats?
Comments.
Or comments?
Wait, comments.
I'm all over the place today. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, that's okay. I got you. That's why I'm here. You're good at everything else that I'm not good at. So that's good. Anyways, here's this comment.
So this person is saying, I have no idea why they're banning it, meaning girls' education, zero Islamic justification.
I told you, the Islamic justification is that the Sunnah of the Prophet have made it absolutely clear for what the role of the woman is in society. Okay. And there are exceptions, but like, for example, if you need female doctors for women to be treated, yes, sure. Some women need to be educated for being a doctor, but that's like,
but they banned that.
Like what? I know. So that you could argue that that's not Islamic. Okay. But even if you need that, that's like 1/10 of a 1% of women. Okay. Yeah. And also, if you have Islamically, you have seen women participate in war. That's only when you don't have enough men to join. Those are exceptional situations. The Sunnah of the Prophet had made it very, very clear that the role of the woman is to cook, clean, have sex. Okay, I actually forgot the most important part. Provide keep the man sexually satisfied, and to produce as many children as possible, and to take care of the children. That's the Sunnah. That's the Sunnah. All right, let's continue. And this one.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
What the fuck?
we have a Muslim here promoting the execution of this man who advocated just for a little bit of goddamn moderation.
Yes. Yeah. This is crazy. Yeah. Then we have this one.
Yeah, this person is just expressing their sympathies.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a comment that you highlighted. There was just.
Oh no,
Armin, do you want to address this?
No. Is Torah Worldwide like angry with us, and then all of a sudden friendly, and then no, I'm just kidding, and then all of a sudden overly friendly. I don't know what this is. I don't know. It's not very Torah Worldwide. I thought she was a religious person. I don't know. This is not very religious. This is not a.
We're all over the place.
She's saying, why just she's saying what that was 20 minutes ago. Okay, so she's not into it anymore.
And it
She's
was
just, like,
sexual harassment 20 minutes ago.
She's like, I'm over it. That was 20 minutes ago. I'm not into that anymore.
I'm not like that anymore. I've changed.
Okay.
You can't cancel me for things I
Yeah.
did years ago. I mean, 20 minutes
Yes,
ago.
20 minutes ago. She's living her
Um,
truth.
Yes.
Yeah, Tora, she's having a laugh as well. By the way. Oh,
GJ
wait,
gave a super
is this a
chat.
guy? Oh, no.
Huh?
Okay. Somebody's saying this it's a guy. I assume she's a girl. Damn. Okay, so never mind. I had my hopes up.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
When Armin's being sexually harassed, he just, likes to assume it's women.
Yeah, I try to. It's better for my mental health to assume that it's a woman. Okay, but go on, DJ.
GJ gave a super chat saying, oh, this is in regard to his last super chat, I think. The UK link with multiple Tommy Robinson rulings is that UK authorities are dead scared of seeing anti-Islam, of seeming bigoted against Islam for 50 years now. Even UK tabloids say Asian when the perps are Pakistani. PS Fest equals confess. So GJ is providing us the decoder for the past several super chats he sent. I've seen other people in the broader Asian community talking about how they're pissed about how the UK government and the media talks about these things. They're like, why are you making this about all Asians? Like the Chinese didn't have shit to do with this. Japanese and UK didn't have shit to do with this. Like, this is not about being Asian. Like, the Iranians in the UK didn't have anything to do with this. It's like Bangladeshis and Pakistanis. Like, come on, guys.
Mostly Pakistan.
Poor Claire gave a super chat saying, how did Armin get over the fear of hell? Even though I agree with the atheist arguments, every time I have anxiety attacks, I think about going back to Catholicism. Oh,
okay.
I think if I ever became Catholic or another religion, I would still have anxiety, and this might cause me to be a crazy obsessive convert. This is a real thing that happens in Catholicism in particular. I forget the name of it, but there's basically a name for when you have like religiously induced OCD.
Right.
It's really debilitating, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I had that after I left Islam. I actually dreamt about going to hell even when I was an ex-Muslim multiple times. The thing is that when I was studying other religions and how significant they were, because when you grow up a Muslim, Islam seems to be the main religion. But the more I get exposed to other religions, the more you come to the understanding that even if there is a God, you probably picked the wrong religion given the number of religions out there. So that doesn't close the gates of hell to you. Okay, so like the anxiety, I mean, I knew it was ridiculous to believe in hell when I became an ex-Muslim, okay, but because I was brainwashed, the fear was still there for a while, right? But the more I studied the history of religion and the history of hell itself, okay, it became so more and more like fantasy the more I studied the evolution of religion. So basically it became so close to being worried, but what if vampires are real? And like, shouldn't I just put garlic at the front of my door just in case? Like, I don't feel that. Like I mean, I could be wrong. Vampires might be a real thing, and it might be a good idea to put garlic at the front entrance of my door just in case. So it got close to that level of just in case, right? When the more I studied how it became so identical to just a fantasy like vampires, that the worry for hell became as close to worry about vampires, right?
Yeah.
So
for me, I didn't ever deal with severe fear of hell, which is, created in us because we've been indoctrinated with phobias. And for me, I had a lot of other hangups about other issues in my life that was really debilitating in my life. And Armin knew me when I was working through all that, and it was horrible. But what helped me get over this, and I don't know if it would help you, was one, just going to therapy in general. Two, like specifically talking to someone who has some experience with religious trauma. And three, when I sat down and examined the God question through a purely logical exercise, and then when I walked through it as a logical exercise, I came to the conclusion of like, oh, why am I being so hard on myself? Why am I judging myself? Why am I treating myself badly for the sake of a God that when I walk through just a logical argument, I do not believe exists? Versus when I had left religion for emotional reasons, I still was emotionally beating myself up. But when I just walked through it as a logical exercise, I was like, wait, then why am I holding myself to this standard if I don't even think there's like evidence to believe that this thing exists? And then that really helps me release a lot of it. So I don't know, just sharing my own personal journey as an ex-Catholic.
Yeah. Another thing
I
that
call
made
myself
me
a recovering ex-Catholic.
Right. By the way, to fight the anxiety, it doesn't work to go back to the religion, because technically you do not believe, and you're just doing like, and God, as we understood in Christianity and Islam, would not accept that as faith. You just covering your ass not to go to hell without believing, that is not faith. So that would not actually save you. Okay, so there's that. So that doesn't work as a way to reduce the anxiety.
Yeah.
And
Carl gave a super sticker, just with no comment, just super sticker. Thank you,
by the way,
Carl.
Suze, I never heard you explain that. Yeah, thanks, Carl. Thank you for the super chat, guys. Today we got a lot of super chats, so thank you so much for that. We need it. We need it for surviving. But Susie, I've never heard you explain your God belief in that way before, so that's pretty insightful. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor Claire. I don't know how.
Yes, sorry, Susanna. Do you mean scrupulosity when you said religious OCD? Yes, I did. Thank you, because there's no way I was going to remember that word myself. But it can actually be very.
Yes, I worry. So Claire says, yes, I worry about that too. So Claire, consider studying the history of hell, okay, and where it came, like the evolution of it.
Just as an idea, as a meme. Think of it as a meme.
As a meme, as an idea. Yes, yes. That helped me a lot, right? Just to see how humans created hell. I mean, there's a story. Yeah. I think I have a.
And also, I would encourage you to go read some books about religious trauma. And what's the name of that program? There's a support group for religious trauma. If you're in the U.S.
Recovering
from religion. Go look up Recovering from Religion. They do really good work.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even need a book. You could just ask ChatGPT to provide you with a detailed explanation of the evolution of hell.
No, but I like in the books, it often contains like first person narratives that helps people.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I like the book Combating Cult Mind Control by Stephen Hassan. That book changed my life.
Right. But also just the idea of having an all-loving God that tortures people for not worshiping him is absolutely insane. I mean, that alone shows that your religion is nonsense. An all-loving God that tortures people simply for not worshiping him. That is insanity. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
But thanks for the super chat, and thank you for reaching out. A lot of people have gone through this experience, so there's a lot of resources out there for you. And I encourage you to go get that help. Seriously.
Okay. Clappable. Last news.
Yes, we have a high-profile deportation in Sweden.
This like, ooh, this actually we could celebrate this. Okay. Next news.
Next news. The Islamic Republic's Imam facing deportation in Sweden. And there are some rumors that he was already deported. Excuse me. In a dramatic crackdown on foreign espionage, Sweden has arrested and is set to deport Iranian cleric Mohsen Hakimullah, the head of Stockholm's Imam Ali Islamic Center, over allegations that the mosque was being used as a front for Iranian intelligence operations. Quote, "This is extremely serious," warned Sweden's Minister of Social Affairs, Jacob Forsmed. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce these names. As the government cut all state funding to the mosque, citing threats to national security. Hakimollahi. That's a name right there. Hakimollahi, who has lived in Sweden for over a decade and built ties with local politicians, was taken from his home by plainclothes officers and has been held in Swedish detention since. His supporters insist that he is being unfairly targeted, arguing, quote, "Hakimollahi is neither suspected of any crimes nor the subject of any criminal investigation." However, Swedish authorities, citing national security laws, maintain the right to deport non-citizens based on intelligence assessments alone. As tensions between Sweden and the Iranian regime escalate, this case highlights the growing scrutiny of foreign-backed religious institutions operating in Europe. Here's the thing. Good. Do it. I'm not gonna cry. I got absolutely no issues with this. Absolutely no issues with this.
I just want to take advantage of this opportunity and say we told you so, because we were accused of being conspiracy theorists by saying that the Shia mosques in Europe are actually arms of the Islamic Republic. Okay, so people are like, no, these are just mosques. Can we just have mosque for Shias? They're like, yeah, but this is how they're being used right now. We're told you, like in Germany, just like the many Sunni mosques are arms of the Turkish
the UK has notorious examples.
Yes, the Shia, many of these Shia mosques are actually the soft power. They have a mission, and this is not an exaggeration, directly from the supreme leader as a way to infiltrate within your governments. They have their with the ultimate, and this is not an exaggeration. I promise you, with the ultimate goal of toppling your regimes.
Yeah,
with the goal of exporting the Islamic Revolution of 1979. I told you phase 1 was Iran, phase 2 was the Middle East, phase 3 is the rest of the liberal world. To take down the world, the imperial, they call it the imperial order, which we call the liberal order. They call it the imperial order. But the goal is to influence, to use the Shias, to find the Shia base in these countries, create a community, try to get the Shias who are not Velayat Faqih Shia to become Velayat Faqih Shia, try to get the Sunnis Shia or Shia sympathetic using the Palestinian cause, try to get non-Muslims sympathetic towards Hussein and the Palestinian cause, and use this as a leverage over the voting base of these populations. That was the goal. And after October 7th, we saw that, because when I said that, these people felt like, okay, Armin, first of all, this sounds like a conspiracy theory. Second of all, even if that's the goal, they said that's outrageous. They're not going to be able to do that. they're not going to be able to have such an influence. After October 7th, and the number of people that came out supporting terrorism, the people who are using the Palestinian cause to try to, and wokeism to try to influence the government, the new party that we have, for example, in the UK, completely focused and dedicated on the so-called Palestinian cause. And the influence that these people, this demographic, has over your laws and changing the direction of the politics of your country, does those suggestions that I made before, does that seem outrageous before? I mean, we have the Swedish government now agreeing that that's what these Islamic centers are being used for. I don't know. Yeah, the Pali excuse, as people are saying.
No,
again, this is not just unfair. This is unfair. Again, I say this, and I feel for the Palestinian people as well, because their misery and their blood is being used. This is why the Palestinian cause is a curse upon the Palestinian people, because the Palestinian cause requires the Palestinians to suffer. It needs the Palestinians to suffer for it to be able to continue being a cause. So this is not just a curse upon Israel and the rest of the liberal world. This is even a more curse. This whole thing is actually a bigger curse upon the Palestinian people themselves. But go on.
Oh, it's very, I don't know the right word for it, like very cynical. Basically, people need to understand that, one, apparently this mosque, wait, what was the name? The Imam Ali Islamic Center is considered the largest Shiite institution in Northern Europe. The largest Shiite institution in Northern Europe.
Wait.
This is a major source of soft power for the Iranian regime. I need people to understand that. And the Iranian regime knows this. And that's why they utilize these religious institutions. And we know that these institutions exist within the United States as well. They exist within Germany, multiple places in Germany. They exist in the UK. They exist in Argentina. They exist in Nigeria. They exist all around South America in general, in Lebanon. You know, they know what they're doing. And the problem is that a lot of these mullahs who are overseas are given authority by the local community and by local politicians as, oh, well, you know, we want everyone in our community to be represented. And like, this is the guy over here that represents our local Muslims. And so, oh my God, we want him to be included at this event. And oh, there's an issue that concerns Muslims over here. So we're going to like bring him in and have him act as a stakeholder and have him act as a representative and try to get him in on these interfaith issues over here. And so they build up the validity and authority of these figures over time. So this guy was apparently well connected politically, and the Shias are particularly well positioned to do this. I've said it before and I'll say it again, because they speak out of both sides of their mouth when they talk about condemning terrorism. Because depending on the situation, they can be very gifted at condemning terrorism and talking about the evil of terrorism in Islam, and it's not the real Islam, and that was taken away from us in the foundations and blah 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 blah. Basically, what they're doing is they're actually talking about Sunni Islam, and no, but we're different. And oh no, these are the real ISIS. They were the original ISIS. They were the original terrorists, blah, 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 but we're different. Meanwhile, I would be hard pressed to see them condemn Hezbollah, for example. like, oh, you're so opposed to terrorism? Like, okay, sir, like, please tell me your stance on Hezbollah. I would be really thrilled to understand. So there's a double game that they play here that just plays very well in the Western mindset, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think it would be helpful for our audience to be able to categorize these things and put them into, because a lot of people are like, oh, Muslim influence from foreign countries, bad, okay, and it's all bad. But I think it's good for you to have some brand recognition, right? And when it comes to Islamic influence in your country, sponsored, first of all, let's categorize it in two, okay? Organic or sponsored by a state, right? So organic is basically these are the types of Islamic influence that is just spreading, or because of you having a bigger Muslim population, and there's a lot of Muslim content creators that they're just making good money by making their YouTube channels. So these are Muslim YouTubers, Muslim podcasters, Muslim TikTokers. These are not state sponsored. This is just a virus like spreading without any state sponsorship. Okay. When it comes to state sponsorship, it becomes more worrisome because it's a lot more organized, it's a lot more financed, and it's a lot more deliberately targeting the politics of your country, right? And when it comes to state sponsorship, you could put it in three categories. The least worrisome right now. So number one is Wahhabism, sponsored by Saudis. This one is much less worrisome than before, compared to before. Okay, because the Saudis have changed direction, right? But the fact that they sponsored Wahhabism all around the world, that mess is still with us, all right? Even though they're not sponsoring it anymore, but they created something that is still a curse upon the world, but it's a curse upon them as well right now.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but about the Saudis themselves supporting it, they used to support it before, they're not supporting it anymore. And the reason is because they're and all of this comes down to economy, right? So number one is, so let me first give you the three categories, and then I will tell you which one is the most worrisome and why. So Wahhabism sponsored by Saudis, Muslim Brotherhood being sponsored by Turkey and Qatar, and then the third one is Vilayat al-Faqih version of 12-verse Shia Islam, sponsored by the Iranian regime. And I would argue that this third one is the most worrisome. And the degrees of worrisome has to do with the level of economic isolation of each one of these countries, right? The reason why the Saudis now are the least worrisome is because fossil fuels are becoming, are going to be replaced at some point. And the Saudis are desperate to be economically integrated with the rest of the liberal world. And they cannot do that with the Wahhabi brand. And that's why Saudis are the least worrisome. The most worrisome is the Iranian regime, because the economies of their country is in a bizarre situation where the people in power make the most money by being the most isolated. Right? So they are not looking for integration. They actually benefit from hostility with the liberal world order. And that's why them using these leverages around the world to attack the liberal world order actually completely is in line with what fills their pockets. The Qatar and Turkey is between these two, okay? The Qatar and Turkey, especially Qatar, sponsors really Muslim Brotherhood ideology, but also woke ideology. They sponsor that. They try to use it as a leverage in liberal countries. They're not trying to take down, because their economy is connected to the world liberal order, is not as isolated as the Iranian regime. So they want to have these leverages to pull without going full anti Western countries. They just want to have something that they could use as a leverage without going full on head to head with these countries. And the Muslim Brotherhood angle has become more problematic to use as a leverage ever since October 7th. So and also because Trump coming into power. So Qatar, it seems like it's signaling that it's trying to maybe change direction a bit. We'll see. But they're sending their signals to Trump that they're going to play, they're going to be better. Okay, we don't know. Okay, we'll see, right? So Qatar might be going the Saudi Arabia way. Turkey might not. Turkey might actually, even though they have a economic relationship even with Israel, the situation over Syria might suggest that Turkey is going to become more aggressive at some point with Israel. We don't know. We'll see. But the worst player in all of these sponsors is the Islamic Republic, because they have full interest in basically being the most annoying and the most aggressive against the world liberal order. So that's how, I don't know if you guys appreciate the category. Like, was that helpful for people to understand what's going on here?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Hmm.
I'm going to be honest, though. I don't trust Qatar at all. Qatar has
Qatar is horrible.
full-blown captured entire American universities. Like,
yes.
There's so much activity in the United States that it revolves around Qatar that should be categorized as a violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, I just to be clear, I don't mean to dismiss how bad Qatar has been. Okay.
Sure.
But like, I didn't mean to do that. I'm just saying that
I don't think you are.
Qatar. Yeah, but the thing is, Qatar, as bad as Qatar has been, they are driven by things of this world, right? So they are being pragmatic for the sake of wealth and power. Okay. When it comes to the Islamic Republic, it's such a much of an odd and crazy situation. It's a lot more ideological. So the Qatari people themselves, they might not be ideological. They are using ideological people, but they are completely being pragmatic about it. When it comes to the Islamic Republic, we have a level of crazy going on here. That's why Trump correctly recognized that they have less leverage over the Islamic Republic because of the level of religiosity when it comes to the Islamic Republic, right? So it's a whole other monster. It's crazy. I could see one day, for example, Qatar normalizing relationships with the liberal order, even as bad as they have been. I could imagine them at some point even having normal relationships with Israel, just like the other Persian Gulf Arab countries, right? But I don't see that with the Islamic Republic. I mean, if the Islamic Republic changes, yes, exactly. I mean, or at least they're very pressured by true believers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Anyways, let's look at the comments here. Okay, well, I don't understand this comment. Oh, yes, that's good. I like it.
Bon voyage.
So, how do you say? Yeah, how do you say that? Yeah. Okay, goodbye.
Have a good trip.
And this one.
So this is an Islamic Republic supporting person saying just an excuse by the Zionist occupied Swedish government to shut down the mosque. Shameful. So we have a good old-fashioned, nothing like a good old-fashioned Zog conspiracy theory.
Of course. This person is saying, shut it
down.
Celebrating that.
Got no problem. Strip all their
guys.
money. I don't care.
We gotta
do it again. More.
I just want to appreciate all the people who are supporting us, because for our size of a channel, the super chats that we're getting is like, we're getting as many super chats as a channel with like 200,000 subscribers. So thank you guys for supporting us. I appreciate
you keep the channel afloat. Seriously.
Thank you guys. Thank you. So we got 4 more super chats to read.
Okay. Asian American. What the hell?
What are you reading? Hold on.
I think this was relating to you talking about hell. Okay. There are more messed up versions of BDSM I cannot describe on YouTube. My hypothesis is people who did not know how to exercise this kink invented help.
There are more messed up versions of BDSM I cannot describe on YouTube. I don't agree with your hypothesis. I think this was more of a power. This was more of a control mechanism than somebody trying to satisfy their kink desires.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any evidence for that. I know Asian American. I think that's something you like to believe, but I don't think it's true. I mean, was kink a big deal back then, or is that more of a modern thing? Like, I
think it's a more modern thing.
Modern thing, yeah. I don't see in ancient literature people being that kinky, right?
Until we invented the
think
French. Sorry.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the word sadism literally comes from the Marquis de Sade, or however you pronounce it, who is the most fucked up French gentleman the world has ever seen, to the point that we named a paraphilia after him. And all people that like to inflict pain are now referred to in his terms. That's, legendary levels. And he wrote this book that's one of the most depraved things I've ever heard of. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about, or don't. Actually, it's kind of messed up. It's extremely messed up. It's extremely messed up. Like, this man was probably almost a serial killer. Okay, poor Claire gave a super chat saying, "Thank you for your answers." And I had wondered if Susanna was ex-Catholic. I can always sense Catholics. I have a fifth sense, as Karen Smith would say. What is it?
Yeah.
My guilt? No.
the shame. Yeah, ex-Catholics detect each other quite well. I've noticed that. Like, what is it about ex-Catholics?
It's the guilt complex, the shame complex. Why do Catholics have shame so much worse than other religions? I've noticed. I don't know. John gave a super chat saying the Vilayat al-Faqih is ruining so much of Iraq now.
Right. I mean, Iraq might be unchaining itself from the bonds, from the claws of the Islamic Republic. So things are seeming to be, ever since the fall of Assad. We're saying, guys, basically, it seems like Israel has managed to liberate. Israel might be able to claim responsibility from liberating Gaza from Hamas, Syria from Assad, and maybe if things go, Lebanon from Hezbollah, and if things go in the same way that it's going, because the fall of Assad has had a domino effect all the way to Iraq. We're seeing the proxy groups of the Islamic Republic falling slowly but surely in Iraq as well. So Israel, one tiny little country of Israel, might have liberated 4 countries from their oppressors in defending itself without even trying. In the act of defending itself, 4 countries might have been liberated from their oppressors.
Dude,
crazy.
Clear. I mean,
make it a 5th, Iran.
A historic level L, really. Number Fidelis gave a super chat saying, "Woman life freedom, free all Israeli hostages now." I'm here for it. Let my people go.
Yes. Yeah.
Let my people go.
Yeah, accidentally liberating. Yes. Yeah, hopefully it will eventually reach to Iran as well. We could have 5 countries. 5 countries accidentally liberated by Israel just by Israel trying to defend itself. That's fantastic.
The most iconic FAFO in human history. Actually, probably not in human history, but at least in the 21st century.
Maybe actually in human history. I don't know.
We shall see. We shall see.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of our show today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And we already have some very juicy stories. Very juicy stories
lined up for next week.
Oh yeah.
Can you give us a tease? Can you give us a teaser?
Well, we got more Quran burnings in the UK that ended up with a dude getting stabbed. And I heard on
Oh,
Twitter that the
shit.
guy who stabbed him is released, but he's not released. Although, to be fair, I don't believe like anything I see on Twitter off top. But
We'll
in
have
the
to see. So
UK, I'm
they
inclined to
cl-
believe it, honestly.
Yeah, the claim has been, and Susanna is going to check it, that the man who stabbed the Quran burner is free, and the person who burned the Quran is not free. So we're gonna see. We
And
not
we're
know if
at a
that's true.
place where this can happen in the UK, and I'm not like, oh no, that's obviously bullshit. I have to be like, actually, I mean, it might.
Yes,
I don't know. It sounds like it might
but
be. Kind of
okay, I don't trust Twitter, but you know what I trust? I trust Susie. Okay, so and D. Okay, and the rest of our team. So they're gonna go dig this. And again, guys, please mention all. You know, I just sat here with you guys for 3 hours, but Susie and D were doing a lot more work than these 3 hours for making this news stream possible. Okay, so please acknowledge that. Let Susie know in the comment section that you appreciate her and D and the rest of our team doing this. And also, if you have suggestions, along thanking them, suggestions in the comments after the show about what you think would be a good idea for them to cover in other weeks, let them know as well. As long as you don't get upset if your choice doesn't get picked, okay? Don't get upset, okay? But do make the suggestions, please.
yeah.
And yeah, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Okay, guys, this like, people criticize us for why are you begging for likes and subscribes? Because it grows the freaking channel. And apparently, and everything shows that when we ask, more people like and subscribe. So we have to say it. Why wouldn't we say it? When we ask, more people do it. Okay, so please, like, I mean, we got a lot of super chats, and thank you so much. But if you can't support us financially, or if you don't want to support us financially, then at least do this. Like the stream. It really helps us out. Please do that. Okay, thank you very much. And oh yeah, people are saying like, and okay, that's good. We did a good show. All right, guys, we're gonna head out. I'm gonna go get ready for my Persian stream. Thank you all, and bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.